Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? It's Friday. It's Friday, and it means it's Free Flow Friday. As you can see, Donovan, the recovering Democrat, is back. He claimed that he got caught up in traffic yesterday, but I think maybe he got caught up somewhere else. We don't
wait. There's all kinds of trafficking. There's traffic. There's sex trafficking. Never mind. So, hello, is it me you're looking for?
We gonna get into it, buddy. Find out exactly why you were MIA yesterday. Yes, indeed. The people won't know. So anyway, y'all, it's Free Flow Friday, where we talk about everything that has happened throughout the week, or most of it anyway, because we can't talk about everything. And of course, we encourage the participants, we'll call you that, Facebook and YouTube, the other side of the conversation, to throw things in so we could talk about, I don't care what it is, relationships, politics, you name it. We want to talk about it. And so also like to say thank you to Donovan, if I didn't already. Marcus got him for everything that he does behind the scenes. He's going through a couple of things right now, so I don't know what he's going to be doing today. Of course, again, YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants. And we ask that you would share, like, subscribe, do all the stuff, to help people see this show. And also I have a Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal at the bottom here. If you can't see it, let me know. I'll be more than happy to put it up. And, help support new Black media, and helping you bring forth the stories and the conversations that you aren't able to have anywhere else in the media. So we are grateful for those of you who are already members and subscribers and all of that. Much blessings to you. So Donovan, what say you before we get started?
What say you as I plead the fifth? I was in traffic, damn it. In traffic. Well, no, actually, I was in traffic to a point because I had to get my COVID stuff done and all that stuff, get ready to leave because I'm leaving on Sunday.
Did you have COVID?
Huh?
Do you have COVID?
No. Something just got in my throat. You know how that is. But unfortunately, my test came back negative, so I have to leave. They're kicking me out. So, I tried to switch tests with this other guy. I said, "Did you go positive?" He goes, "No, negative." I said, damn. So that'll be another shit for me to go. But I'm telling you, I enjoyed my time here. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. The DR, and I'm talking to the single guys out there, it's really something that you want to visit maybe for 3 to 4 days at the most. But it's a beautiful country. If you're doing your thing, I got to say, I really enjoyed my time here. People watching was awesome. If you go to my Facebook page, you will see me on the motorcycle. You got to do that. They get you around and stuff. I try to do everything to show you guys what's actually going on. So met some really good people in and out. Can't complain. So if you get a chance to do it, again, stop talking about what you can't do and start talking about what you can do. So let's get into it.
So absolutely. All right. So let me get to you guys' comments before we go ahead and get started. Let's see who's here. We have the Pioneer. How you doing? Anais, Robin, Anna. How you doing? Thunder. Let's see here. Well, Steve, how are you? Anastasia, how you doing? Jafia. Did I say Thunder already? Yes, I did. Hello again, by the way. And Brother Donald, how you doing? All right, and so let's see here. Pioneer says, Queen Stop, as Brother Don just coughed a little bit to clear his throat. Hey, I had to ask, right? Jamarcus, how you doing? So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah, Donna, don't get in trouble. You say you sneaking in from work. Be careful. So anyway, you guys, and Pamela, how you doing? As you guys know, there's been a lot going on in the news, right? And some of the things that's been going on is that Gabby Petito. You guys how could you not hear about Gabby Petito? Well, anyway, Gabby Petito is a girl, I think she was 22, if I'm not mistaken, a woman, I should call her, who was missing for some time. And then this week, I believe it was, or maybe it was last week, they found her remains, right? Now, her boyfriend, Laundry is his last name, Brian Laundry. Her boyfriend is now a person of interest, and they have an arrest warrant out for him because he used their bank card or something unauthorized. And so the media went wild and still going wild, right? Covering the missing or, the case of Gabby Petito, what happened to her, where's her boyfriend, and, all of that, right? And people have really been consumed with that. And so then it raised the other question of why is it that when Black people go missing, we hardly hear anything about it at all, right? Why don't the media pick the story up? So then there's Jelani Day. He's 25 years old, and they just yesterday identified some remains that were found 3 weeks ago as his, right? And so his mother, I saw her in the news, and, you know, very heartbreaking. But they said, I guess they found his clothes and his car, but they didn't find him before they knew exactly what happened to him. And so she's saying they're trying to get me to believe that he stripped off his clothes and walked into the river because they found him in the Peru River in Illinois. So they want me to believe that he just stripped off his clothes and walked into the river, and that was the end of him. She says, well, you know, there was no signs of him being depressed or, you know, wanting to do anything to him. So she's not buying it. And, you know, of course, she's like, why didn't my son get the media coverage that Gabby got? And of course, we know the answer, right? The answer is because Gabby, you know, she appears to be a white woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, and all of that. You guys remember years ago, the Natalie Holloway case, and it didn't even happen over here, right? It happened in Aruba. She came up missing, and it, you know, everybody was just consumed, right? Nancy Grace. Everybody was just consumed in what happened to Natalie Holloway. And so the same thing's going on with Gabby Petito. So, you know, they are both white women. And you all know that white women, you know, they are probably seen as the most valuable woman or person in the world right now. I'm not saying we say that, but I'm just saying in general, they just are. And so Jill did not get that same coverage because the answer is in the question or the statement. He's a Black man. The media, the mainstream media, as they call it, they're not interested in highlighting things that go on with Black people, the things that we need to know, right? We know that they highlight the bad stuff, robberies and murders and, you know, just the nonsense. Now I don't call it nonsense, but just the low-hanging stuff, right? And so the other problem with that is us as Black people. Dr. Claude Anderson says that we own less than 3% of the media, right? And look at the media that we do own. What is it doing? It's highlighting negative things in our community. You name it, it's negative, right? It's the ratchetness. It's the, you know, homosexuality. Not saying that it's negative, but I'm just saying, you know, those type of things, whether it's about a strip club or it's, you know, some hustlers and hoes. And, you know, even today, like the stuff I'm talking about, you would think I'm talking about like Blaxploitation era in the 60s and the 70s, right? Where there's pimping and hoeing and all that, but you still have that now. And so, and thank you, Marcus. I didn't reach out to you because I thought you were still kind of busy. And so thank you for putting that link up. So that's the stuff that we do with the media. We do have, right? We do negative things with it. And so then there's this other part of it, the Black media, like this show, the African Diaspora News Channel, African Diaspora News Insider, and a whole host of other Black shows that are bringing you information. The other part is we don't support our own stuff. We are always looking for the validation from white people, white media. This is the Emmys that were on this weekend. They call it Emmy So White because no Black people were not won anything major, right? Like any of the acting and all that. No Black people, they were all shut out. It was all pretty much white. And so Black people, Black Hollywood are crying, they didn't recognize us and how dare them? The Emmy's so white. And I'm like, but y'all don't even show up to the award shows that they have for you, really. You know, you're so busy showing up to the Oscars, the Grammys, the Emmys, but you know, let it be a BET award. And I know BET is white owned, but let it be something like that. Oh, well, they couldn't be here today. They had something else to do. We're going to accept the award in their honor. So it's like, you don't even really show up to the things that are for you. And so I say all that to say is we need to stop crying about what the white media is or is not doing with Black people and start doing it ourselves, right? And I did a little snippet on the African Diaspora News Channel about it. And I said, I talked about a girl, Yahari, I think her name was, in Chicago that was missing. And they unfortunately found her deceased in a lake. I covered that story and it only got like 1,800 views. So it's like we can't complain about people not highlighting our missing people when we don't even come over to our own platforms to have that conversation there, right? And if the only reason why the mainstream media is covering Jelani now is because people got in an uproar. Now, listen, it's not just Jelani Day that's missing. There's a whole host of Black people, men, women, children that are missing. And you wouldn't even know anything about it unless, somebody told you or you lived in that area, right? And so, and then lastly, y'all remember Kanika Jenkins what happened to Kanika Jenkins? She got stuck in the freezer and he had all these conspiracy theorists coming out and it was just a nightmare, right? We never really did find out exactly what happened to her. But the reason I bring her up is because there was a lot of negativity involved in her case. And so the media kind of picked it up, but they weren't really interested in finding out what happened to her. They just wanted to get into the muck and the mire of her case. And so I just say we need to start supporting our own outlets. Who's going to cover our stories better than us? Why would we trust the white media to tell our stories? Malcolm X warned us about that years ago. Stop believing and trusting in the white media. They're never going to tell you the truth. They're always going to form their own narrative. And so anyway, Donovan, what say you before we get to these comments?
Yes, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. But isn't this the problem with Black media? Even when we do have something like that, they are so dependent on advertising dollars to keep them going. Because remember, at one time, Ebony was a very good publication to know what was going on in Black America. But they didn't start. But then eventually, they didn't start covering things that mattered. And then you had Jet. That was really good. I used to keep up on the records and the albums, and then that gets sold out, and it gives a false narrative. So we always have a problem with, just like in our Black organizations, where these people, it's an organization for Black people, but then it gets infiltrated and then taken over by white conglomerate people. And we have to stop doing that. Like you said, start supporting our own media to tell our own stories. The young lady on the YouTube channel that's covering the R. Kelly thing, she said something in one of her commercials, and she's, every time you go to that channel, that commercial comes up. She says, "Isn't it strange that," or some paraphrasing that, "why is it that it's always somebody else that doesn't look like us is telling our stories?" And they never say it completely. And that's a true statement. That what she was saying. It's unfortunate we have a lot of Black bootlicks out there, but that's why Donovan, the recovering Democrat, says critical thinking is very important. Look at both sides of it. You just can't say, "Oh yeah, I'm a Democrat. That's what they said. That Trump is evil." Look at both sides of it. Is Baltimore a shithole? I think it is. I've been there. I was there like 2 months after he said it. It's a shithole by my standard. So look at both sides of the argument and critically think what's the best in your situation. So I agree wholeheartedly. Let's get to these comments.
I absolutely. All right. And so Steve says, "Demetra, did you see Donovan riding on the back of that water pump?" Yeah, I saw the video of him on the scooter risking it all. And again, how you doing, Jamarcus?
And when you say risking it all, you are literally risking it all. If you get a guy, they have an extra helmet if you want one. Nah, just the roads. I mean, the guy was stopping, and I could have flown over on top of him. It was crazy, but hey, some people jump out of perfectly working aircrafts.
Anyway, and Anastasia say, "How's that workout plan going? I kind of fell off the wagon." I think it says Eve was weak. Laugh out loud. I've been working out. Worked out every day this week, so it's going pretty good. I'm starting to shape up, so that's important. How's yours going anyway? And Jamarcus said a white boy did it, so her boyfriend. Yeah, but even look at how they gave him a pass. They let him just roam free, and now they're trying to find him, right? But it's like, who else would have done it, right? Pioneer, you say that entire Gabby Petito thing was sad, but I think it was a media distraction designed to keep the American public's attention off of the major issue that will affect them. Yeah, I would say America's definitely been distracted. Not that, again, anybody lose their life is a horrible thing, but yeah, what else weren't we seeing, right? And Stevie says he's hidden in the Caucasus Mountains. Yeah, he hidden somewhere because they sure looking for him. Jafia, if I didn't already, hello. He says, "Why is it a question to why we already know the answer. Oh, exactly. We know what it is. But like I said, the other part of it is we don't support our own media, right? It's the same conversation with Black-owned businesses. You know, we rather go and give our money to somebody else opposed to saying, let me go try to give my money to a Black business anyway. You know, it's the same thing. If CNN doesn't put their stamp on it, MSNBC, Fox News, or whatever, they don't put their stamp on it, then we don't think it's legit, right? It has to come from one of them for it to mean something. I'm just saying. And Nina, the boss, how you doing? Says, I know Anastasia, say it loud. And how you doing, by the way? And Anais, if I didn't, hello. It says, MJ told you they don't care about us. Exactly. And Jafia says they need to check to see if Jelani still has his organs. Yeah, especially in Chicago. They, you know, sounds like they known for taking people's stuff, right? And Robin says they always want to say it's suicide, quote unquote, with us, right? That's what his mom was like, nah. And Sherelle, how you doing? And Steve, you also say they're exercising Gabby privilege, okay? He said they're exercising Gabby's privilege, okay? And then the Pioneer says it was sad what happened to our brother Jelani. However, the way Black media is going about this is wrong, in my opinion. Don't crap on other person's tragedy to draw attention to your own. Well, I kind of see where you're going with that, and I agree to a certain extent, but I don't have a problem with people calling out the hypocrisy. You know, attention should be drawn to her case. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but it should be just as much, right? Or at least mention it. Jelani's case didn't get national attention until she died. So I don't know if it's really crapping on it. People are crapping on it. They shouldn't be doing that. You know, nobody deserves that. But I think if not now, when?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, his brother was on Good Morning America, and he was saying that, you know, the only reason they're getting any attention right now is because it is piggybacking off of this other story. Other than that, it's been what, a year since this guy's been.
No,
3
weeks ago.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago and stuff like that. And he says, like, you know, it was silent, no help. The police were like, he just went and did, you know, whatever. And now all of a sudden, now the police are being scrutinized. And they're like, wait a minute. Okay, we really got to do an investigation. These Negroes are on us right now.
Yeah. Partner says, sis, you took the words. It says, I was just getting ready to say that you can't blame white media for not reporting on Black issues like our missing Black children, women, and men is our responsibility too. Absolutely. And Anastasia says, I asked the same thing. Does he still have his organs? Good question. A Michelle Mays, how you doing? You say organ harvesting and lynching are real. They also depict us in the worst possible light, always. And Thundy says,
let me ask a question real quick for everybody that's listening and in the panel. I think my cat's at the door. But anyway, in the panel, you know, we keep saying that they depict us in the, you know, most negative light, and that's very, very true. However, do we not sometimes put ourselves in the negative light as well?
Yeah, but that I don't think that's kind of where I think that's kind of right now. I think that's an apples and oranges type of thing. Because whether we put ourselves in the worst light possible, which everybody puts themselves in the worst light possible, that doesn't mean that our cases should not have attention drawn to them or that the media should do it, right? And Thunder, you say they have been finding a lot of Black men hung, one man in front of City Hall, and they are quick to call it suicide. And this is another reason we need to protect ourselves and each other. Absolutely. That actually happened in Lancaster, California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, and Thunder, you're right though, but you know, that's always been my question. What you gonna do about it? We keep, we keep seeing these incidences. Our leaders we got to stop calling them leaders. They are not leaders. They are servants. Our servants don't do a damn thing about it. So the question is, what are we gonna do about it? What message are we gonna send to them for not doing their fucking job, excuse my language, to protect us?
Right. And Tracy, how you doing? Since I'm late coming in, nope, you're right on time. And Kate Briggs, how you doing? Says Gabby was a famous YouTuber. That's why she is getting attention. How famous though? Because I've never heard of her before. I mean, not that I know everybody, but how famous was she really? I mean, some people were like, well, is she some celebrity? Like, what was really going on, right? And he says a validation from them people, right? And Anastasia says, we know they ate or consumed Black flesh in the past, so I wouldn't put it past them. Good point. And Kay Briggs, you say, and van lifers are super trendy right now. Yes, they are, especially on YouTube, people who live in vans and they trek across the country, which is what she was doing with her fiance, I guess he was. And then they actually got stopped by the police because maybe somebody called, they were fighting, and it sounds like she was beating him up. So they had a lot going on. And the Pioneer says, I said the same thing about the situation down at Del Rio border. A handful of Black media reported on it, but most haven't even mentioned it. Too busy beefing with each other over pettiness. That is very sad. And A. Michelle, you say sad but true. And K. Briggs says, but being pretty blonde helps. Yeah, well, that's considered, I guess, Americana, right? Blonde, blue eyes, porcelain skin, damsel in distressy type of thing. And Anastasia says, people keep saying she was a famous YouTuber. Natalie Holloway wasn't famous, nor was Elizabeth Smart. Stop making excuses for those male sapiens. Wow. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've never heard of her. Again, I don't know everybody. I'm not on YouTube surfing like that. But, I mean, you make a good point. She just was white, right? I mean, I'm just saying. And let's see here because my comments jumped up. And Jafia says, in 2019, over 75,000 Black girls went missing. Exactly. Where are they at? And Kay Briggs says, Gabby had 50,000 YouTube followings and was big on Instagram. Okay. And Steve says, it's more Black and Indigenous people missing than any other race of people. And Anastasia says, it's funny, all these missing Black people, but they seem to find aliens in Tom Brady's jersey. And Antoine, how you doing? He says, hello, Queen Demetra, Brother Donovan, and room. Yes, indeed. And Jafia says, yeah, they claim that Jenkins got drunk and just walked into a effing refrigerator, shaking my head. Yes, indeed. And Megan, how you doing? Says,
the funny thing is, if you guys get a chance, you guys, I'm going to cut you off. Go to Demetra's and my YouTube channel, and you're going to see the video where we covered that. We actually covered that story and came up with some of our own theories in regards to the mother and how all that kind of played out and stuff like that. And I'm not saying I was completely right, but I was kind of right where I needed to be.
Yes, indeed. And Megan, how you doing? It says, only Black media tells us about who's missing in our comedy. The so-called Democratic media, CNN, not once aired the Jelani case. Absolutely. They started to now, that has gotten all this attention, but they weren't before, right? It was Gabby. The Pioneer says, you're absolutely right. Says we need to start taking responsibility for our own actions and promote the issues that matter to us instead of getting angry at white media outlets for not doing it. Yeah, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're talking about their own. And Megan says, love your content. Oh, thank you. And we love you being here. And Anastasia says, on my BLM site, we started doing Keisha alerts because we know nobody is coming for us. I love that. And I said too, on the African Diaspora News Channel, I'm going to start at least once a week covering missing people in our community just to, to do my part. And Fly on the Wall, how you doing? It says her name is Plain Jane. Well, her name was Gabby. We don't want to be, show her any disrespect because nobody deserves to be dead. Especially sounds like some foul play murder. So the Pioneer says, that's why I didn't like how Joy Reid came on talking about missing white woman syndrome. She was right, but it was off code, so to speak, by putting herself in a position to look like the racist. Yeah, Joy Ann Reid. Boy, I tell you, if that's not an establishment.
When she started getting them butter biscuit checks, ooh, child, sister girl. I mean, she starts just cooning all up and down the Don TV.
And Jafia says, yes, Donovan, they tell the parts of our story that they want the public to know, so we can't complain if we are not telling our own story. And Donald says, love that overlaid picture of laughing Kamala over the Border Patrol agent chasing a Haitian man. Seems like a movie trailer. Yeah, she was on The View today, and they asked her about it. She goes, well, it's a known fact that in America, Indigenous and Black people, have been through some horrible things. I'm like, how the hell did you throw in?
Can we ever get a situation where it's just us and we're the main focus of the story? Everything always includes somebody else in our story. Why is that?
Yeah, so she was, obviously she did it because, because you guys got to remember too, Kamala said that she doesn't believe America is racist. So, she's got to cover her tracks. And Robin says, Tyara, I hope I said that right, Williams, 19 years old, has been missing since 2016 here in Greensboro, North Carolina. Yeah, why is she getting blown up all over the media? But why aren't we blowing it up as well, right? Pioneer says, when I look at both sides of the argument and look at things objectively, I find Trump to be a traitorous, racist. Weigh all of the evidence and you'll come to the same conclusion. Laugh out loud. Yes, indeed. And Anastasia says, but why is Baltimore a white hole? I mean, shithole. It's purposely being set up for failure. Gentrification, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. But I can tell you, in the late 80s and early 90s, Baltimore was gorgeous. Now, I'm just saying, Kwame Mufuse left and went to go be the president of the NAACP, and then Elijah Cummings came in the office. And this is what the black media has been trying to keep, and we keep telling you guys this. These people, yeah, the gentrification is happening, but it's happening in black districts with black servants right there. I get upset when I see the Rams and Chargers Stadium in Inglewood, California. I get upset because that is Aunt Maxine's district. So you mean to tell me you displaced and made people, all those black people, your people, homeless so that people could use a stadium seasonally that doesn't provide full-time jobs or benefits? Sad.
Yes, indeed. And Jafia says boyfriend is going to try to make us think that he committed suicide. Yeah, and his family was, aiding and abetting him. They still are, it sounds like. And Thunder says, like what happened on the border, if we had a black business district, someone could pick them up and take them there and put them on a job later. This is what I think they would do in Chinatown. Well, that's what they're doing with the Afghans. Amazon has stepped up. A couple other people said they would hire the Afghans, and help them get on their feet. So
wait a minute. You have all of these Americans that are out of work, and you're going to bring people who are traitorous to their country into this country and give them jobs? Please make it make sense.
Mm-hmm. So he says, old tales from the crib. Looking, Joe Biden finally said something about the homegrown terrorists on horse. Yeah, and I guess they're mad about that because he said that they were being strapped, like, strap whoopings or whatever. And it sounds like he had to walk it back, or his people had to walk it back, because the person that took the picture says, well, I didn't actually see anybody being hit, but the image is there. And Jafia says, I get what Pioneer is saying, but the Gabby thing was out of control. You couldn't turn on the TV without hearing about Gabby. Exactly. And I don't even really watch TV, but every time I did, and Pioneer says, I agree with you, sis. We should call out the hypocrisy, but there's a way to do it. There's an adult way to do it and a childish way to do it. No, I agree. You shouldn't be saying, well, who cares about her or any of that kind of stuff, because, nobody should lose their life. But I think I think a lot of people are calling out the hypocrisy. Ridiculous thoughts. How you doing? He says, don't underestimate the power of white influencers on social media. That probably had a lot to do with it getting national attention. Yeah, I mean, it probably did. Like I said, I never heard of her. I am familiar with van life, people living in their vans and going all across the country, but I never heard of her. So forgive me. Jafia says,
well, of course you're familiar with van life. A good, eighth of Los Angeles people live in their cars on the street.
Well, no, these are like people with some money. I know, it's cute. They're traveling and they're sleeping in the van. It's interesting to watch. I thought about doing it myself. Then I came to my senses. And Jafia says, Donovan, blacks are put in the worst light even when they are doing the right things. Yep. And Renee, how you doing? He says, I could tell you he does not have his sexual organs. What? He was lynched and we all know it. Wow. Well, I'd be interested in learning more about that, but I'm not surprised if that is true, right? And Girly Gamer, how you doing? He says, put some intel on Jelani. What information do you have on him? I don't have any information other than what his mom is saying. His mom is saying that he, was studying to be a doctor along with his sister. He was in his master's program. And she says that he was not depressed and he had so much to live for. So there's no way that he would commit suicide, which is what they were trying to imply.
And you know what? Look, I'm going to tell you guys straight, okay? You Negroes, sit back, take a chill pill, wait for the investigation like you're hearing your servants tell you right now. Well, we got to wait for the investigation to see what's really going on. That's the playbook. It's the same playbook. And you guys, we keep falling for it over and over again. We have to wait for the investigation to go through, and then we'll find out what really went down. And then as time goes by, you kind of forget it because Americans have short attention spans, and we go on to the next tragedy.
Unfortunately. And the pioneer says, we know it's not fair to give Gabby Petito so much attention, but like the minister used to say, it's their media, it's their world. For the time being, the question is, what are we doing? Absolutely. That's why I said, how you mad at the white media and you don't even talk about it, or you don't go to the black media areas, if you will, and listen to what's going on. So yeah, completely. And Thunder, you say, what we can do is hold the damn vote. Yes. And if the Republicans want to roll it back to pre-Civil War day, then so be it. Because if the Dems didn't want that to happen, then they would comply with our demands. Well, hell, the Dems are driving at full speed ahead. I mean, look at the state of the country. Since Joe Biden has taken office, everything you can think of is just completely in the toilet, right? How do you get that wrong with the Haitians? Especially with so much media and cameras and stuff going around. You got these race soldiers running around with, their lassos or their horse, whatever it is, using as whips. How do you get that wrong in 2021? How do you even have to have that conversation, right?
Well, wait, how do you have black representation that say absolutely nothing? Absolutely nothing. I mean, it took the new black media to point all of this stuff out and the differences between the two groups. Wait. And by the way, you guys, I want our co-hosts here to tell me and point out which Hispanic congressional members have come out and stood by us and said, hey, this is wrong. This is, we shouldn't do this. We're going to, this is un-American. Show me an Asian one that's done it. I'll wait.
Right. And Jafai says Joy Reid is a typical immigrant. We'll put it that way. Anastasia says she can't be getting too many checks because that Brillo pad on her head looks crazy. Wow. You're talking about Joy. You got to
remember her hairline went from right here and it's back here now because of the bad weave she's been getting or whatever she's doing to her hair, because it's bad. It's bad now.
Y'all wow. And Jafai says some indigenous people are black people. Yes, indeed. That is a fact. And Thunder says, and if they do roll it back to them old days, who would be upset about someone in captivity wanting liberation? Gloria, how you doing? It says, hello, Donovan and Demetra and family. Feeling under the weather, but I am here. Well, please get well. I know how you feel. I was under the weather for a couple of days last week, and it was not fun. Randy, how you doing? It says, respect and honor everybody. Sorry I'm late. Nope, you're right on time. Sunlight, how you doing? It says, so we are the black, where are the black real estate developers to buy up the land and sell only to blacks, preferably wealthy blacks? It's a good question. Yes, indeed, Sherelle, we need to hold the vote. Hold the vote until we get something for it. We're not getting anything for it right now, so what is it going to hurt us, right? And the Pioneer says, Inglewood is Maxine Waters' District 2. I thought it was only South Central. It seems as if Maxine Waters' district is the one where most the gangster rappers come from. Laugh out loud.
Well, actually, Inglewood is a part of her district. So a part of Inglewood is in her district. Mm-hmm. So
yes. And you also say exactly, sis, as an adult, you don't go around saying who cares about that nasty white girl, quote unquote. That's not civil or intelligent. You don't even hear smart racists talking like that in public. Absolutely, yeah. I just think we do a little bit too much when we do stuff like that, because at the end of the day, that girl belonged to somebody. She will be missed by her family, and nobody deserves, especially somebody who was, being just a YouTuber and whatever. She was young. Nobody deserves to die or be murdered. So yeah, absolutely. And Artemis, how you doing? It says Auntie Maxine is 83 years old. It's time for her to take a permanent vacation. It's time to update. Nah, Maxine is not going anywhere from her cold dead hands.
We will be carrying her out in a box like most of our black representatives. They will not leave power, and they leave worse than when they got there. That's the sad thing.
Mm-hmm. And Renee says they will probably set the Afghanistan refugees up. Liquor stores, corner stores, convenience stores, businesses in black neighborhoods. 3,000 are being sent to my area. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to come over here and live fat, and they're going to live fat off of us. And Thunder says the question is, why would the Dems prefer to have pre-Civil War days than to cater to their voter base? It would seem that they care more about denying black people than the downfall of the U.S. Well, let me ask you this. It's like this, it's the same thing like when you go to the doctor, right? You're like, oh, I'm sick, I have a headache, and this, that, and the other. They say, well, are you drinking water? I tell you what, if you drink more water, pertaining, if that's the case, right? If you drink more water, headaches will go away, and you'll never, ever need me again. It's the same thing with the Democrats. If they actually help Black people, I'm not talking about the carrot on a string help. They actually help Black people, help us get set up, help us get reparations and close the wealth gap, businesses, schools, and all. If they actually help us do that, guess what? We don't need them anymore.
And thus, you see Hispanics come in under the Democratic banner and Democratic policies, and then what happens to them? Half of them vote Republican. Asians, most Asians are damn Republicans when they straight in, most Asians. And that's how it works, because they say, you know what? I'm set up. I'm good. I don't need you guys anymore. I'm a business owner. I'm a millionaire. I don't need you anymore. So I'm going over here.
Yep. I want to protect my interests. Brotham, how you doing? He says, what's up, everybody? Black first. Yes, indeed. The Sunlight says, van life sounds exciting. I agree. I've only experienced car life so far. A 1970 VW bus comes to mind. Love those. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't try it. Wouldn't mind trying it for maybe a week, maybe, see how I like it.
Well, I have news for you guys. 7 million Americans will be experiencing that very, very soon as those cake horses work their way through the court system. So a lot of people will be experiencing Mercedes life, Hyundai life, Mazda life, Toyota life.
Very sad and unfortunate. Pioneer says the attack on Black wealth and real estate isn't just financial, but also legal. The racists also use City Hall, the Sheriff Department, and other institutions to try to take Black wealth. Yes, not try. They doing it, right, brother? And Anastasia says they still haven't found out what happened to Quan, Charles, Darian Towns, Alexis Patterson, Lauren Cho, and Tamia Hornsford. I'm not mad. I'm just going to show them the same energy they gave us. Yeah, I mean... Again, but we need to start covering our own stuff, right? And Randy says, question. They're not talking about how the people got from Haiti to Brazil to Mexico and walked from the southern border up to the frontier. I bet they didn't walk or swim. Who financed this? Yeah, they showed up. It seemed like all of a sudden, right? But yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. How did all that really take place, right? They say,
Yeah, but again, if you guys go to some of Demetra and I's old YouTubes, just go to her YouTube page, go to my YouTube page, you will see where we were talking a few years ago about the Black Africans that were being held in Central American jails. And you got to think about this. When the initial earthquake happened, not the most recent one, the one before, a lot of Haitians, and they're leaving because there's nothing there. There's no infrastructure. Everything is just destroyed, right? So they left their country for a better opportunity, like the Hispanics are coming to America. Oh, we're going for a better opportunity, political asylum, blue, 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 right? So the Haitians left their country and came to the Latin American countries, but they experienced so much damn racism there that they were like, we're getting the hell up out of here, because even here in the Dominican Republic, there is a deep resentment against Haitians here in this country because these people are flooding in and they're taking jobs and doing these things. But it's just, Latin America is just as racist as any of the colonizers when it comes to Black people. But we talked about that a few years ago.
Yep. Spire says, Nana, Steve, you say Joe Biden said many years ago he could care less about Haiti. Yes, he did. And Jamarcus says, where's Sheila Jackson and the rest of them? I saw that she surfaced within the last couple of days. Did
she bring any water?
I don't know what she did. Pioneer says, now as far as Haitians being chased and whipped on the horses, didn't we have a Black militia that rose up back in 2020? Where is a Black militia to help protect Black people? Yeah, you're talking about the NFAC. I don't know where they are. We know that their leader, Grandmaster Jay, is under federal indictment, a couple of, serious accusations. And so that's kind of what happened, right? And Girly Gamer, he says, I do think it's racist not to take the Haitians, but take all of the Afghans. But that is just my opinion on that issue. Well, no, you're absolutely right. They ain't trying to have no more Black people come over here. I mean, that's not racist at all. That's just the truth. I mean, you're
not in Texas.
Your opinion is the truth, rather.
Yeah. And in Texas, do you think Texas right now that it's teetering because all these Californians are moving to Texas and stuff, that it's teetering on becoming a blue state again? And you're going to bring in all these Haitians, Black Haitians that are probably going to vote Democrat. And think about this. These people get here just like the Latins. So let's say you do get asylum. You're here for 4 or 5, 6 years. You might date an American girl or American guy and have a child with them. there's your anchor child, and now there's an explosion of Black Democratic voters right there in Texas. We ain't having that.
Yep, and Robin says, Donovan talking about the hairline, and Jafai says, I mentioned Black and Indigenous people because Donovan asked why was Indigenous people included when they mentioned issues with the Black community. Yeah, but specifically with Kamala Harris, you know, there was no Indigenous people, you know, at the border being chased down with horses, but she thinks she threw that in there just to kind of make it seem like, well, I don't want to specific. I'm just not going to talk about Black people only now, you know. And Thunder says none of the Hispanic community leaders have came out to say anything, and they can be said about the Asian community. Where is the alliance? Well, again, they don't want no more Black people over here. Felix Tijerina of LULAC in 1956 says that I am not interested in joining alliance with aligning with the Negro. Let him solve his own problems. Said he wasn't interested. And so do y'all think that attitude has gone away with Hispanics? Now, LULAC is a very, you know, prestigious, well-known organization, Hispanic organization. And that was their president in 1956 that said that about Black people. So, and how you doing, Tana? Says, hi, Demetra. Hi, the recovering Democrat. And Ava Shelley says, a lot of times the police call the lynching suicide as soon as they discover the body. No investigation unless there is an outcry from the family or the public. Then they wait a few to say it again. Yeah, that's what we've seen a lot, right? Oh, the suicide is like, okay. And Sunlight says, hold up. So the sets can strong arm Maxine and press her to do the right thing. So you said they can't. So you're talking about the gangs and all of that. They probably like Maxine gonna be Maxine, right? She's been there longer than a lot of those gangs. And Minister Kev, how you doing? He says salute Maxine, Tom Brady, Waters. Okay. And
Tom Brady's coming to the stadium this weekend. So
that's where maybe
Maxine. Yeah, maybe Maxine has a skybox like Corrine Brown. She got those tickets and stuff, that little skybox.
Now you know she does. You know she ain't sitting in the nosebleeds with the commoners. She's not sitting there. And Girly Gamer says there need to be more YouTube giving a voice to Black people that are missing to give people intel to investigate. Orson and Orrin West, 2 missing young children connected to CPS foster care and adoption. You know what? As a matter of fact, I saw that this morning. I didn't get a chance to look into it. I think I did send myself the story so I can study. But as I said, I'm going to start covering more missing Black people. That just to do my part, right? And then he says, where did it go? You say we need more Black corner stores in Black communities. Yes, and the Pioneer says the juvenile thinking among so many of our adults is one of our major problems. The immature thinking among so many of us leads to the other problem that you see, like violence, poverty, etc. Yes, indeed, Antoine. You say Mexicans and Puerto Ricans are social climbers. Asians are a buffer class collaborator group, all OHAS, but different tiers. Okay. Pioneer says this is why I constantly said intelligent and righteous Black folks need to unite and build. We don't need fools and knuckleheads among us constantly starting fires we have to put out. Good point. And then he says, how much in reparations would you want? Well,
let me break this down. We break this down every show. Down payment minimum, and they've already given you the numbers. Even Republican Robert Johnson came close to the number. $17 trillion down payment with an annual payment for 25 to 30 years of $3 trillion. And that is not because you have Black skin. You have to be fundamental Black or ADOS. And there is a way to prove that because it's all in the National Archives.
Mm-hmm. And Painful, how you doing? It says Black First, Foundation of Black American Family. Where is Kamala? She is hiding in Jim Crow Joe closet, sitting Indian style, eating chicken masala. You wild. And she was on The View today. They kind of talked about it, but they didn't really get into it, right? Leather and Luxury Cars, how you doing? It says, I was thinking the same thing. This seems a bit odd how they're just popped up. Yep. And let's see. And Anastasia say from the Clinton years, the policy is to send them back immediately, and they are being held in these Latin countries, and now they are talking about sending them to Gitmo. Yes, I saw it as like, ain't Gitmo supposed to be bad? And Sean King actually highlighted that. He says they're actually looking for contractors who know how to speak Haitian and I guess whatever else they speak and how to deal with them so they can go work there at Gitmo. It's like, why would you send them there of all places? Was they doing some waterboarding and all of that up in there? All right, and so let's see. And Thunder says, if they do that for us, we will not need them anymore. So that means they won't do it. So let's do for ourselves, and let's not wait until it gets so bad that we are a cattle of cards. Yes, indeed. And Tana says they hate us pretty much. And Sunlight says, yep, some Haitians.
Wait, I have a quick question here. Oh, okay. We're starting to buffer a little bit, but here's my question. Have you guys noticed that when other groups come to America, they don't put them in concentration camps? Where did this idea of this inhumane thing to do to put people in a prisoner of war camp, which is what a Gitmo is, you're going to do that to Black people and cage them. But if you tried that to Latins, everybody is up in arms. You try that to Asians, everybody's up in arms. Only to Black people is it conducive and okay to do that. And so-called Black servants that we call representation remain silent. The NAACP, silent. Where are these pastors? Silent. Silent. Where are these pastors? Silent.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I was looking to see if I was buffering. That's what I was doing. So, all right. And so,
yeah. Tana Young, they hate us.
Yes, I saw that. And Sunlight says, yes, some Haitians identify as Latino. I recently found out, shaking my head. Yeah, it's problematic. And Leather Luxury Cars says, I think them being sent back also is an act of God. I'd rather go back to nothing to rebuild than to turn out into glorified slavery. Yeah, I don't think they was thinking that was going to go on with the right. And, Brother Phil made a good point. He talked about it in that, why didn't they go to Africa? He says Africa has the room and, more of the resources to take them than we do, right? But he was basically saying it's a wake-up call to the Haitians. He says they got a lot of tribalism going on over there. And you come over here, that don't work. In Africa, that might have worked out a little bit better for them. So that y'all should go check that out. He really made a lot of good points. And Jafai says, so even if it sounds racist, I think everybody at the border should be returned. Okay. And then Steve says the $1 million question is why other races of people hate Black people so much? Because they see something in us that we haven't seen in a long time. They know who we are. We're the greatest to ever do it. Like we are the original royalty, right? As they said, when they went and white people were thinking about slaves, they weren't thinking about a weak race of people. They went and got the strongest race of people. Any other race of people that would have went through slavery the way our people would have went through would have been extinct, right? And so that's why they hate us, because they see something in us that we have stopped seeing. How great we really are and how much greater we could be if we knock off the nonsense, right? So that's
and then also, if you guys just listened to my podcast the other day, do you guys realize in the African diaspora, we as fundamental Blacks or whatever, Blacks here in America, even if you're of different descent, the Blacks that are here in America, do you guys realize that we are the only group of people that fight racism every day? We fight it every day. Show me any other place where they are fighting against whitey, excuse my language, whitey on a constant basis. Yes, Haiti shook off its colonizer 150 years ago. What have they done since? We fight it every day. And that's something that we always got to remember. Again, I challenge you guys to watch this movie, Once We Were Warriors. And that's what it's talking about. Never forget who you are. If you come from a warrior class, be a warrior class. And we are still that.
Anastasia says 2 words, birth, dearth. They can't have all these Haitians in here. Okay, I have to check that out. And Anais says, we need inward reparations. We need to take care of ourselves. Yep, first and foremost, but we need our reparations as well. And Jafia says, KK Kamala is worse than Jim Crow Joe. Some people would agree with you, right? And my comments. Let me catch up here for a second because that's why they keep jumping up.
Yeah, it's on Thunder.
Thunder says, and we
have you noticed that most? Yeah,
have you noticed that most of the so-called Black leaders are immigrants or of immigrant families: Joy Reid, Roland Martin, Sheila Jackson Lee, etc. Yes, indeed. Now they also say Angela Rye, Candace Owens, etc. Yep. And Krista Fan always. I know I jacked that up, but how you doing? I just call you Chris. Says, just wanted to jump in and send prayers for Jelani's family. I'm from the city he went missing and prayed he would come home safe. Yes, indeed. Much prayers to his family. Getting news like that is never easy, right? And Ridiculous Thoughts says, Maxine is that aunt that will eat Oreos but give you, stop it, Hydrox cookies when you come over. Now I know that's some old school stuff. Hydrox cookies. Stop it.
Yeah, isn't that the one that's made with the cholesterol oil? The Crisco type?
It's the low budget Oreo. You need to stop. And Girly Gamer says, did they release the autopsy of Jelani? I don't think they did. I think they really just realized who he was. I don't think they've released it yet, but all they found his remains about 3 weeks ago. Pioneer says, sis, like you, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I support the decent of all of our people, regardless of their religion, nationality, etc. The same racist dog that bit us, bit them too. We need to unite. Yeah, but we got to unite with each other first, right? Because again, they're not interested in uniting us. We're the only ones that keep talking about this alliance, Black and Brown alliance, align with other people. They don't want to do that. And so it's a dead argument at this point. Really, it is. We have to align with ourselves first, right? And Antoine says 100 trillion. You're talking about reparations. And Ridiculous Thought says we need to be very careful right now as ADOS, FBA. They are going to try and shoehorn Haitians into our reparations. I don't see how they'd be able to do that. They need to go where they at and get the reparations, right? And Megan says, former Dominican Republic President Trujillo in the 1930s wanted to whiten, quote unquote, the Dominican Republic population. He ordered the murders of many Haitians in the DR. Wow. And Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, now a question for you.
Yes, and yeah, we have a delay. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, the Dominican government has stripped citizenship from Haitians that go back to like 1929 or something like that. I said that in my podcast. You guys go check it out. There's some serious intertribal squabbles going on here in the DR against Haitians.
Yes, indeed. And Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, now a question for you. Would a person whose mother is Black Cuban but father is Foundation of Black America be able to get reparations?
Depends. There's a depend to it. Now, if you're asking me, I would say no. If you're asking me now, and I would say no because when did they get here? You could be from East Africa for all I care. If you were here if you were here before 1870, you're good. But if you came anytime after slavery ended, absolutely not.
Well, foundational Black America means that you are ADOS. It's just another way of saying it. So that means that they're one part of them, whoever it would be, mom and dad, are descendants of slaves. And so that's, I think, where he was going. And Anastasia says, so a lot of these people want to bring back slavery. Okay, but before that happens, we're doing DNA tests on everybody, and a strict one-drop rule with no exceptions will be introduced. Everyone said that, everyone that said any comment cut off. And Harold, how you doing? It says Black first. Yes, indeed. And Megan says the racism that Trujillo instilled is very present in the DR today. Never mind that when the DR wanted their freedom, they sought help from the Haitians. And Randy says, I live here in Laredo, and I do leave cases of water out on my ranch and cases of noodles at the far end of my ranch field. These people are just trying to turn themselves into the authorities. Yeah, I saw couple of months ago where the Border Patrol was destroying water and things that were left for immigrants. And that's just, I mean, it's evil. Yeah, okay, they ain't supposed to be out there. But the fact that they out there, they're probably hungry or thirsty. Why make life harder for them, right? Evil.
Right. Are you guys aware that the Border Patrol has no professional training in its origin when it started? These were a bunch of yahoos that used to be slave patrol people that just came over and said, we're going to go down there and kick some ass on these damn Mexicans from coming in our country. Yeehaw. And that's how they started. And that custom that was started from the origin is still ingrained in their policies today, which is why you saw how they treated those Black Haitians, not even as human beings, just like, hey, I'm just going to throw this, 600, 700 pound animal in your direction, not even worried about if you're going to get hurt or not. It is in their origin and it's in their policy.
And Anastasia says they were black or minority, so they could be racist, will be considered black. Everyone that wore blackface, everyone that said I have Indian in my family, so I get land and money and can smoke. And your comment cut off again. The Pioneer says Thunder, you say they're putting them in Gitmo and no one is speaking up. This is why we must do for ourselves. We can't afford to wait. Agreed. And Kubler, how you doing? And thank you for the comment. I appreciate that. The compliment, rather. And Anastasia says, Peyote, they added into, everyone said that they were invited to the cookout and was blacker than anybody. Then to all those people that want to be black, they get the full immersion experience, right? So you're saying people trying to say all of a sudden, because reparations might be on the table, I'm black. Like, no, you get the whole experience. Get it all, right? And the Pioneer says, you have a lot of tribalism among black folks here in the U.S. What do you call the Bloods, the Crips, and the Crips? What do you call East Coast and West Coast? Yeah, I guess you can look at it that way. I guess, yeah. Jafia says, Africa is not reaching out to the Haitians because they are not coming with American dollars. They will do nothing for their economy. And I guess you make a good point. And Anastasia says, too, I am so over these people. They know we show them their biological genocide. We leave our mark everywhere. Yes, indeed. One drop, baby. Girly Gamer, he says, yes, cover the Orson and Orrin West boys born in Bakersfield, living in California City, reported missing 12/21. Boys adopted out of Trezell and Jacqueline West. Okay, yes, I am going to actually look into that, and I'm going to cover it next week. And Tana says, these pastors are in it for the money. They don't care. My old AME church is all white due to Dylan Roof sympathizers, and they tithe more. Oh, yeah. I actually know of a pastor that was trying to set up a church and stuff. And they were like, let's set it up in the white neighborhoods. It's black people. Let's set up in the good neighborhoods, in the white neighborhoods, because then they'll come and they have more money, right? Wasn't talking about saving no souls, trying to help people who really need it. It was, let's get people in with the most money, right? It was like, okay. And Artemis says, why don't we help Haiti to build up their economy so they won't need the handout from the state? Well, who the hell gonna help us build ours up? Or how about this? Who's going to help us keep it, right? Because I get what you're saying, but we need help figuring out how to keep our economy. But I hear what you're saying. And Antoine, you say
you got to take care of home before you worry about anybody else. That's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm. Antoine says, damn straight, Queen, we're the children of the Most High. Yes, indeed, and they know it. Brandy, how you doing? It says, yes, they know. And when they see us in our natural self, they speak to you in a different way. That's including white people, for real. And paid in full. You say, I knew that was going to happen. Am I even getting close? Let's see here. Okay, it says, we don't need no more immigrants. The more that come in, it undermines foundational Black Americans even more further to the back. Yes, and Renee, you say Deuteronomy 28 chapter tells you the history of Black people, especially Black in America. And Anastasia says, Donovan, what have they done since they have been paying reparations and dealing with natural disasters because of the way the French abused the land during slavery? Nothing lives in a vacuum. Very good point. And Girly Gamer says, was the autopsy released on Jelani? Not that I know of. I could be wrong, but that I know of, no. And Artemis says they never forget how Haiti defeated the French and drove them out, and Haiti had to pay France colonial taxes. Very true.
Well, wait. Okay, so I'm going to address that. They fought for their own country. They freed themselves. Who is now? What makes them feel that they have to pay something that they really don't have to pay? What are they going to do if they stop paying? What are they going to do? Well, what are these other countries going to do in the African diaspora? If we let the Western powers come in and kick their ass and stuff, don't you think that these other nations might rise up? Maybe they won't. I don't know. But my point was, they are fighting colonialism 150 years ago. I'm here in the DR. I've seen Haiti, whatever the deal is, and we've been to South Africa. There's still an appeal to authority when they. It's like if you're leaving your country, you're not fighting for your country. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not saying they shouldn't be there. That's not for me to decide. What I'm saying is leaving your country is not the answer to solving your problem. You need to deal with your country and get like we are trying to do in the New Black Media.
Yeah, I think there's more to it. I was actually looking for my book. I always talk to you guys about that book, The Tattooed Soldier. It's a fictional book, but it tells a story nevertheless. Because, I too thought like that years ago. I thought, well, they just need to stay in their own country and do this, that, and the other. But the other part that they're not really talking about is how those other countries have been so destabilized, specifically by the United States. It's like, what am I going to stay for? I'm talking about people being murdered and, all kind of stuff. And so what do they stand to fight for? The United States, it's one of the biggest offenders. They set up in the country and they train the guerrillas, to do the warfare and the militias and all of that. And they take over just like the Taliban. The Taliban is not an accident. America is very complicit in that, and they totally take over the country. And so when they come over here, we say, oh, well, they need to go back. And it's like, go back to what? And then we forget to tell the side of the story that the United States is the reason why it's like that. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and it's the same thing in Mozambique. We know that when what's his name was over there, Mugabe was doing that. They don't tell the whole story in the fact that we helped destabilize their currency to where these, he wants to do great things for the country, but we make sure that they bow down to our will. So like you said, it's not a right or wrong thing. The thing is, leaving is not the answer. If they come here, I don't have a problem with that. That's not my issue. But my point is, they need to control their country and get the right people in office. Just like we, as Black people in this country, we have 9 years to get it right. Or guess what? We are totally irrelevant. So my question to you guys is, what makes us any different than the Haitians?
And Sunlight says, did anyone know Usher is Haitian? I didn't know that. And Finance says, sis, you said that as Black people, we need to unite with ourselves first before uniting with other Black people. You'll be a skeleton in red lipstick waiting on all Black Americans to unite first. Well, first of all, the operative word is all. And I didn't say all because, I don't really like to deal in absolutes. So I get what you're saying, though. And Pioneer says, okay, Brother Donovan, I didn't get your answer. And if one parent is foundational Black American ADOS and the other is parent is Black immigrant, would they qualify for reparations?
My answer is it depends on when they got here.
Well, okay, but you're missing his point, though.
No, I got the point.
No, because foundational Black American and ADOS means that they are direct descendants of slaves.
I know. You're asking my answer. My answer is, for me, it depends on when that other parent got here.
Okay. And DJ Golden, how you doing? He says, when you love all the diaspora, you would already know about what happened to our people worldwide. Y'all are into foundational Black American as if all of us haven't suffered worldwide. I don't get it with the foundational and the ADOS people. Well, DJ Golden, what the hell? That explains it. I am a Pan-African, and so I don't really get all off into because even saying that you're foundational Black American or ADOS, that's even a form of tribalism, right? So I really don't get off into that. I don't think that we should discard any of our people because, as we know, Marcus Garvey was trying to unite every Black person around the world, and Gaddafi was trying to do the same thing. He was like, listen, Black people all over the world, okay, let's do this. Let's unite. Let's get away from this dollar. Let's start dealing with this gold. Let's really do some things. And so I agree with you. ADOS and FBA, it does get along the lines of tribalism.
Yeah, basically. And how many of you guys heard Russia went away from the US dollar and off the ruble, and they have now accepted the yuan? So the US dollar is being decimated on the world stage.
Yes, indeed. And Free Mind, how you doing? Says, what does do for ourselves mean? Well, it means to take care of ourselves, right? Let's stop giving our money away. We know that the dollar in our community circulates about 6 hours before it leaves, and every other community up until, like the Jewish and Asians, circulates 20 to 30 days before it leaves their community. So if we keep our money within our community, we can do for ourselves, right? So when we say do for ourselves, that means we set up our own educational system, set up our own policing, if you will, our own politicians. We build Black businesses, and we are able to do for self. I don't care what you think or what you know, but you can't do nothing for yourself without money, right? And so we give 97% of $1.3 trillion away every year. That's what Black people earn, give or take at this point, $1.3 trillion a year. We give almost all of that away, leaving us 3% to survive on. So let me ask you this, Free Mind. If you got your paycheck on Friday and you took 97% of it and you just threw it up in the air, and then you says, wow, I got 3% to pay my rent, my car, and eat. Can you do for self without asking somebody, well, you know what? I ain't got it. Can you loan me? Can you give me? Right? So that's what it means to do for yourself. Be able to completely take care of yourself. I hope that was helpful. Jonelle, how you doing? And the Pioneer says, I'm not focused on Black person nationality. I am Black first, meaning Black first, B1 Black first. Not American first or Christian first or Q-Dog first, Black first. No, absolutely. And we all need to realize that, right? And DJ Golden says, negotiate with Africans. We are African. My DNA test came back 37% Nigerian and West African, Congo and Bantu and other types of African. Yeah, mine came back. I'm Nigerian as well. Yeah, a large percentage. So
y'all better never do a crime because they got your DNA. Never do a crime.
They got it anyway. You got a COVID test. Anything you done put your hands on, they got it anyway. That's why I'm like, people, boy, you be tripping. But anyway.
Yeah, have you ever wondered why they kept the penny in circulation? They were getting everybody's DNA.
Okay. And Don P, how you doing? He says, hey, Demetra and Donovan. And Art, I hope I said that right. Says, hello, I'm from Italy, and I heard his story. Stop complaining about it. It's unfair. Thousands of people disappear of all races. The media talks only about interesting cases, and that's all. Well, I would concede some of that is true. They do talk about interesting cases, but what made her case more interesting than Jelani's case? If you don't mind answering that question. And DJ Golding says, I feel it, Pioneer. I'm really not with clinging to this American BS. And Honeydew, how you doing? It says, hey, Demetra and my future ex-husband, Donovan. I apologize for missing the live streams it's in entirety, but I see y'all on Sunday. Continue blessings to chat as well. Yes, indeed.
Ex-husband? Ex? We haven't even... Ex? We might make it.
You really might. And Sunlight says the U.S. sanctioned them to pay France. Yes, and that's where I was going with it as well. Sunlight. They're talking about if Haiti doesn't pay. And DJ Golden says, I feel like Haiti should have been stopped paying. Right. I agree with you. And the Pioneer says, don't be fooled with the anti-Black immigrant talk. The same psychopathic mind that will ridicule and laugh at the Haitians will laugh and ridicule you as a foundational Black American if you end up in the same situation. Yes, indeed.
In the words of Steve Harvey, the best way to help the poor is not to become one of them.
Well, actually, that was Mother Teresa, but yes. And yes. And the Thunder says we should be focused on building and doing for ourselves to protect ourselves. We start with economics, politics, justice system, media, education. Once we get our economy, then we can build a future for us. And yes, that is actually the 5 floors from Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomics. So yes, indeed. And Sunlight says, foundational Black Americans already ridiculed by everyone. Facts. Yeah. So, but again, the term foundational Black American just came into play, 2-3 years ago from that brother Tariq Nasheed. It was the answer to ADOS when him and Yvette Carnell and Tone, whatever his name is, Antonio Moore, they were kind of having their beef, and then they had a schism, which created another tribe. So I personally don't get involved in all of that, just to be honest with you. And Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, I hear you. People shouldn't run away from their nation and should solve their problems, but the West keeps tampering with their nation, keeping it destabilizing. People are trying to survive. Yes, indeed. And DJ Golden says they should be Sunlight, because if we don't love all of our people worldwide, we stay in the mess we are in right now. Yes, indeed. And let's see here. And Nick Hurst, how you doing? You're asking Thunder, what does our economy mean? And Gallon, how you doing? Says there's a book of Confessions of an Economic Hitman, which I cannot find. And the one that I did see was like into the hundreds of dollars. I'm like, well, I'll wait till I get my brother's copy, but I need to read it. It says, Confessions of an Economic Hitman explains how the U.S. has stabilized foreign governments all the time. It's not a secret, right? It shouldn't be at this point. And Nikki says, all missing persons should matter equally. Yeah, I agree with you. They should. And Sunlight says, yes, Usher's dad is Haitian, yet his mom is a Black American, and he's been raised as Black American. Okay. And A. Michelle says, every time we build, where'd it go? I'm gonna find it. It says, every time we build a prosperous community, they get envious and jealous and destroy it. The white folks just can't leave us alone. And Jonelle says, right, Donovan, they're seeking refuge in the colonizers nowadays instead of in their unity. Those who destabilize their country is the reason why they're running in the first place. Same with Afghanistan and others throughout the American history. Yeah, the United States has been, involved in helping that happen. And DJ Golden says, with the points of Marcus Garvey and Gaddafi. Okay. Thunder says, we get our economy going to every major city, then we could do like other nations. Do we have the US dollar that carries a lot of weight in other countries, and we could jumpstart something global? Yes, we could. And you also say DJ Golden on point. The Pioneer said, Brother Donovan, okay, your answer illustrates how confusing this will be if a person who was half FBA may not qualify. What about a person who is half white and half foundational Black American?
Well, my thing is, for me to answer that question, it's not going to be up to me who gets it. All I'm saying is, when you put all these other points into it, we're watering it down to where we can't get to it. How about this? Let's get the money and we'll figure it out after that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. And Mr. Pirate Brain, how you doing? Says invest in cryptocurrency. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. And Jabaya says, there would not have been a reason for ADOS FBA had foreigners not come here and separate themselves. It wasn't an issue until Americans decided to identify themselves as well. Okay. And DJ Golden says, true, no do for self without money. Yeah, you just not gonna do it, right? It's fantasy land if you think you can do it that way. And you also say they do have our DNA anyways. You right about that. And Freeman says, okay, Demetra, I agree to the extent we should do for self-peace. Yes, indeed. There's a lot we can actually do for ourselves, right? And the Pioneer says, I can't speak for the experience of others, but of thousands of interactions I've had with Africans, I've only had a couple of negative ones. Yeah, I can honestly say I haven't had any negative that I know of. Any negative interactions with Africans, they'll tell us that, oh, they don't like Black people. Yeah, some of that's probably true, but for the most part, the interactions I've had with Africans, from the motherland, I haven't had any negative experiences.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the fact. I don't think it's the fact that they hate Black Americans and that the word of like that what we know of hate. Remember, in Africa, tribalism is big. What it is, I think it's more so they look at us as a tribe within ourselves, and so that's where the tribalism comes in. And I dated a girl from Nigeria, and I'm telling you, I went to the party, to the house, and I was like an outsider because I wasn't of their tribe. And that's just how it is.
And Girly Gamer says a type of Bitcoin would be a better option than gold. Cryptocurrency is the future. If you have gold, hold on to it. Sometimes you need to do what the rich person is doing, even if you don't like him or her. Yes, indeed. And Jonelle said, do for self means separate self-preservation. Establish your own you're Black owned on all levels. Spend your economics with your own. Empower your own first. Love yourself first. We are programmed to put white sovereignty first, especially above our own. Dream American. What about our Black dreams, independent of colonizers? Where there is no vision, the people perish. Yes, indeed. So that's exactly right. DJ Goldie says she put you as an ex already. Yeah, Donovan, he just can't keep them. And A. Michelle says, we should stop spending money with the Chinese, Korean people from Indian and Arabs that set up business in our communities. Yeah, especially if they are not doing right by our community. Now, I will say this. There are some other races who do set up shop in the community, and they do hire Black people when they do give back. It's rare, but they do, right? But yeah, I agree with you. We should start setting up our own stuff too. And John, how you doing? It says hello, Demetra. Just here listening. Hope you both are having a great day. We are, and we hope that you're having a great day as well. And the Pioneer says, preach, Brother Donovan, laugh out loud. Why these people are sending in so much of the DNA and by mail and not knowing where it's going is naive. You don't know who is getting your DNA, laugh out loud. listen, if they wanted your DNA, they ain't gonna come up with 23andMe to get it. Okay, they can get it. Like, right? You know, a lot of y'all be on Tinder, using Tinder apps to find dates, and you worried about somebody getting your DNA. But you're giving your DNA to a total stranger you just met 5 minutes ago. Make it make sense.
Hey. Even though I was in the military isn't what got my DNA. It was that damn child support office. That's who got my goddamn DNA.
Right. Okay. That's what you should be more concerned about, right? And Mr. Primary says, hey, Demetra Donovan, you were in the military. They got your DNA. Right. Okay. They got it all, brother. Jafai says America paid reparations to the slave owners, and that was the same suggestion that threw out at France, i.e. the reason Haiti is still paying reparations. Yes, indeed. The Pioneer says the way some of our people act a fool out on the street and in public, can you blame Africans who come for more conservative African culture if they are hesitant to hang out in the hood? Well, again, I mean, they are looking at narratives that are put forth through the media about African Americans. It's the same way we're looking at them. I mean, Donovan and I went to South Africa and we were told to be very afraid. You might get snatched up off the streets and all of that. And it was none of that. We knew we was being duped. We saw a white woman walk down the street by herself. I was like, if she ain't scared, then I ain't.
2 or 3 in the morning. It was 2 or 3 in the morning. This white woman walking down a dark street, not fairly dark. There was no like lights, but you could see, but not really, by herself. We were like, huh?
Yeah, she ain't scared, then we ain't gonna be scared, And Ridiculous Thought says to get reparations, you must have at least one parent that is a descendant of American chattel slavery, period. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't agree with excluding people who are maybe half or whatever. And
hey, I don't want nobody cutting into my bankroll. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking at it from a financial aspect. The least people I can cut off, the more I'm going to get. But then again, trillions. Has anybody ever seen what $1 trillion looks like?
Yes.
That's a whole lot of money, believe it or not.
And Nick, you say states with the highest crime rates, lowest income, greatest poverty among minorities are Democratic ran states with majority African-American Democratic leaders. They need to stick to their promises. Yeah. I mean, all of that is facts. It's just a fact. And, we keep allowing them to stay in office and lie and not do like there's places in South Central. It's starting to be gentrified a little bit more now. But some places in South Central that look like it did during the LA riots. And that was in the early 90s. But yet, that's what frustrates me too. You see, Maxine Waters, she was on the news, she mad about Joe Biden and them, and the Democrats doing what they did to the Haitians. It's like, well, what about you doing what you're doing to Black people in your own district? Or what you ain't doing for them? Like, shut up, twist your wig, and go figure out how to help your people that continuously send you to Washington and you do nothing for them, right? And the Pioneer says, Brother Don, you said, let's get the money first. Who will get the money if we haven't even decided who qualifies for it? I agree that only foundational Black Americans should get the reparations from the U.S. government, but, and Anthony, how you doing? He says, not every person of color came from a family of slaves. That is true. That is true. And Artemis says, can we talk about solutions to our Dr. Claude Anderson always giving us solutions? I would like to see the minister and Dr. Claude Anderson come up with some solutions. Well, there is
money.
Well, hold on a second. Let me turn around. I want y'all to see my back. I can hear you though. I'm gonna show y'all something.
Demetra's Peep Show. Welcome to Demetra's
Peep Show. Okay. So we say that a lot, Artemis, right? And it's not just you. It's a lot of people who say, well, we need to come up with a solution. Well, Dr. Claude Anderson has solutions in powernomics. There's a lot of solutions in here. And he's been talking about this for a very long time. And of course, you have the Message to the Black Man in America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Been talking about this since the 60s, right? This book has been around since the 60s. And so there are solutions. But the question I always ask is, which solution are we going to follow? And they are saying the same thing, really, right? And they all really get their ideology from Marcus Garvey from the 1920s. So there are solutions. We just don't want to follow them. And we need to figure out, why don't we want to follow them? And Pay the Fool, you say, my lineage go back to 171 years. That's on paper. I'm more than qualified for reparations. I know that's right. Get your money. And Anthony says, one thing though, African food is incredible. Yes, it is. Very fresh too. It doesn't taste like GMO, right? And Thunder says, the Chinese government just declared all cryptocurrency transactions are now illegal, of course. And Anthony says, my family came from Germany in 1750s. Okay. And wow, you can go way back there. And the Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, the problem you run into is how much foundational Black American ancestry qualifies you. All foundational Black American ancestry, only half your grandparents will, I think we says, will one FBA grandparent qualify you? See how complex it is? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very complex, but my thing is, by bringing in all these other groups and not addressing the problem, you got to start somewhere. So you got to address the problem sooner or later. A lot of these Black folks were property. So these people that were actual slaves, you can start there and work your way currently. But when I see people like Kamala Harris, who are first generation Americans, become the vice president, and we've got people that are FBAs and ADOS, and we haven't had any representation whatsoever on that type of level, I just seem to have a problem with it, you know? So yeah, but we got to start somewhere. I know it's not a good start, Pioneer, but I think you got to start somewhere.
Yep. And Street Strong says, and how you doing? It says, if they are half and half, it depends on if they identify as Black on the census to receive reparations. That's the rules. And that would be a good way to, to qualify, right? Well, what did you say you were, And Randy says they gave Oklahoma back to the Indians. They gave us the same agreement, 40 acres and a mule plus reparations. Yeah, but they didn't follow through, right? And Smoketown for Life, how you doing? It says other groups have biracial people in them and still get specific financial payment from the government. So this is not a legitimate excuse for not giving us reparations. Please stop babbling. Yeah, I mean, even for what I understand, the Jewish community does that. So you make a good point. And DJ Golden says the Tinder app comment says, I'm just saying, people giving all kind of DNA everywhere, but when it come down to, finding out your heritage or your lineage, it's like, and Artemis says, can we talk about solutions to our problems? Dr. Claude Anderson always gave us solutions. I would like to see the minister and Dr. Claude Anderson have a workshop. Now that would be awesome. And Randy says they got DNA at birth. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like you've been on this planet 50 some years while not giving your DNA. Hell, every time you go to the doctor, they draw blood. That's your DNA. How you know what they doing with that? I'm just saying, you want to take it a step further. How do you know they're going to take your DNA off the fork you ate at the restaurant? How you know some covert operation wasn't going on there? And let's see. And Pioneer says, and back to your point of getting the money first, all of this arguing about who will or won't get reparation is unnecessarily divisive until we are just about to get them. I agree with you, right? That's almost like when somebody dies. Well, mama did want me to have that cashmere coat from 1965, and then you get to fighting over that. It's like, Lord have mercy. And DJ goes and says, yes, they are scared off from us via propaganda on both sides. It works both ways. It's to their benefit we don't unite. And there you go. There you have it. And Brandon says, I just don't want any $5 slave because of reparations. And Girly Gamer says, if people want reparations, better to take land versus dollars. If that's an option, take the land ownership. Yeah, but I want both, right? And Nikki said, yes, ma'am, I agree. Spot on. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, Maxine Waters, she get up there and act like people don't see what she's not doing for her own district, right? But yeah, you want to get on a national platform and then condemn your homies, right? Like the Democrats are her homies. They're all in the same gang. But yeah, she want to try to act like she's different. I'm like, nah, sis, you the same. And Mr. Pybrain says, the Black Democrats gonna get a wake-up call this next election. You know what? I would like to be optimistic and say, yeah, you know what? I think Black people gonna hold the vote, from the Democrats, but I don't think so, because I've seen a lot of Black people defending the Democrats. I'm like, oh, it's worse off than I thought. It's worse. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. And Artemis say, they tell the African to fear us because of the images they project throughout their own news media. Yeah, and vice versa. Facts Not Feelings, how you doing? It says peace and love, fam. Black media can show missing Black people profile pictures in their shows. Don't need white media. And that's what I was saying. Why don't we do that ourselves? Like, we always looking for somebody else to do what we should be doing for ourselves. And I always say, don't cry about what no one else is doing for you if you ain't doing it too, right? It's like your house is on fire and you're crying, oh, my neighbors aren't helping me. My neighbors aren't helping me put my house on fire. Well, damn it, did you grab the water hose, a water bottle or something and try to put your own fire out first? Did you even call 911? You know? And DJ Golden says, I think Demetra is funny. Funny looking or funny? I'm just kidding. And the Pioneer says, I have to be honest, it's not just the media that causes some immigrants, not just blacks to stay away from us. It's the behavior of some of these clowns in the streets that they see with their own two eyes. And that, you know what? We would be a fool to say, well, no, that's not true. A lot of that is true. Like, we do a lot of stuff that's just like, oh my God, let me hold my head down, right? Yeah, it's bad. So you're right about that. And Thunder says they have been giving us, my comments jumped up. They have been giving us solutions for years, and a lot of us refuse to act. There you go. And DJ Golden says, okay, sis, pull them books out. I got a lot of them. And Pioneer says, it's not just CNN and Fox that are giving Black Americans a bad name. DeMario bumping up and down. DeMario, who the hell is DeMario? Bumping up and down to the street, tossing up gang signs and liquor store Willie begging for change at the 7-Eleven ain't helping. Oh my God. Thunder says, show them books from the FOI. Yeah, I got quite a few of them. Janelle says there's plenty of solutions that have been given by Black leaders, and especially those whom you speak of. We need application right. Queen Marcus Garvey gave us solutions. We need to get our colonizers out of our ear and hear solutions. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan got Black youth, celebs, buy farms and farming and more. We got to apply our leadership, good guidance, and see beyond our colonizers. Yeah. And Free Mind says, go buy birth certificates for reparations. And Nikki say, rich white people need to stop saying everyone has the same opportunities in this country to be wealthy. It's a lie. Some people have no hope and are born into hell on earth. Some people are born rich, etc. And that's a fact. I mean, which is where the wealth gap comes in for Black and white people. White people have an average of 171,000 and Black people have an average of 17,000, which I think that's kind of high for Black people. And so there is a wealth gap, and it would take us 232 years to catch up to the wealth of white people due to slavery and us being robbed of that money from the labor and just a whole host of other things, institutional and systemic racism. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And Pioneer says, my point is, like I constantly say, intelligent, righteous Afro-Americans need to unite and leave the fools and clowns alone. I bet if we united, we could get our reparations in less than 15 years. I think we can get it in 1 year. If you ask me, I think we can get it in one election cycle.
We can get it right now since we're all Democrats. What's stopping them?
Y'all, I ain't no Democrat.
You know what I mean? Overwhelmingly, Black people vote Democrat. We can get it right now.
I agree. I don't think it will take nowhere near 15 years. And Paid in Full says it's the 1850 census, as Tariq Nasheed said, to find out if your lineage is FBA. Okay. And so exactly. There's a whole lot of litmus tests out there, right? And Jafai says, regardless of what was given back to Native Americans, they are still the poorest in the U.S. If the nation doesn't own a casino, they are dirt poor. So I've heard.
Well, you also got to remember this, though, Jafai. How are you? Okay, it's like me being in the military, right? Am I dirt poor because you, the taxpayer, is supplementing everything that I need? Just a question.
It's a good question. And Pioneer says, since you are right, even before a loved one dies, you hear some people in the family talking about he wanted me to have his car. And she said I could have all the furniture. They still in the hospital, right? Like, damn, I ain't even took my last breath yet and y'all fighting over my shit. And Mr. Pioneer says, I want cash reparations so I can move to Africa. If they give us land, they will have to take it back. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are like. I'm not going nowhere until I get my money. And Nikki said, wow, great analogy. Thank you. And DJ Golden, you laughing. And Thunder says the Dems are going to get a wake-up call when they see those numbers drop. Yeah, I agree. But, but right now they still thinking, nah, Black people going to continue to vote for us. We can do just the worst things to them and they'll continue to show up.
And they don't want Trump back. You know how bad that is. Mr. Trump won't come back. Y'all got to vote for us because if you don't, then Trump come back.
You stupid. You know what, though? And the other thing, too, I noticed, like with CNN, now they're talking about Trump. I guess it came out that it was a lie about the balance, which who didn't know that, right? But it's like, why y'all talking about this more so than what's going on at the, the border with the Haitians or any of this other stuff? Why y'all so heavily talking about that now? It's a distraction.
Yeah, or you talk about the Haitians, or you talk about things that can really benefit Black people, like the George Floyd bill, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, the John Lewis bill, things that help like repeal qualified immunity that could really help Black people in this country. Almost silence about it.
Oh no,
5 months has passed that we knew nothing was going to move, and now 5 months has passed. Oh, we couldn't get it done. Really? You couldn't get that done in 5 months, like we didn't know that.
Right. Jonelle says slaves don't show up until the food is cooked. Meanwhile, they're slandering the chef. But when the food is cooked, they're ready to eat. Very few will or have the desire to do for self. Most run from a liberated mind, separated from the whitewashed emotion, and think liberated. Sad but true. In fact, not feelings. She said, who else is enjoying biting, slipping in the polls as him and admin trying to rationalize whipping Blacks? Yeah, and he was already slipping, but it's just one thing after the other. The pandemic is out of control, and the economy is kind of tanked. Yeah, they said it's these jobs, but it was like, man, ain't nobody trying to go work at Taco Bell for $7.25 an hour. That ain't no real job. I'm in Texas, right? I'm from California, been here a year in Houston, and I'm like, damn, some of these apartment and house prices are the same, it's getting as bad as California. So who the hell can afford to take care of themselves on all of these minimum wage jobs that are out there?
But Demetra, think about it though. With all those Californians moving east and being gentrified out of California and then leaving in droves, the landlords over there are saying, wow, all these California people are moving here. They're used to these prices. So let's just move it up too.
Yeah, forget that. Okay, I'm not paying y'all. And listen, I've been looking for a house, right? I got to move. And so, finally found one. But some of the stuff that's out there, I'm like, are you high? It's just like they didn't even clean the properties, nothing. I've been in stuff with roaches. It's like, hello, I'm going to live here with you. It's like, but you want $1,600 a month for that? Okay. And Ridiculous Thought says Demario is Gloater Jean's grandson. Gloater Jean is my fictional lady, if you will. I don't even know where it came up with the damn name. Pioneer says the intelligent and righteous foundation of Black America should work with the intelligent and righteous Haitians, Nigerians, and other Black nations and build with each other and demand what's rightfully ours. Yeah, well, that's what Marcus Garvey was telling us to do. And Sunlight says Demario and Lugi, is that how you say it? And Steve says, I jumped up. Let's see. He says, we have to decolonize our mind and body as a whole. Yeah, Brother Phil has a book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind. Very good book. I suggest you get it. Pioneer says, sis, you got to give us another hour because Donovan missed yesterday and has to make up for it. Laugh out loud. We'll be back on Sunday.
Well, guess what? Donovan will not be here Sunday because I will be in travel mode back to LAX.
So it'll just be me all by myself. And Jafia says, y'all have to remember that the foreigners left people back in their own country who acts like crazy Black folks. So they need to stop acting like they are perfect. And Ridiculous Thought says, Demetra's brother was great temporary Donovan recast yesterday. Yeah, Walter comes on here from time to time. He's a busy dude. So maybe I'll get him to come on here on Sunday if he's not traveling the world somewhere. And Thunder says, we said we need to start a segment on a book that are a must read for Black people. Please show those books again. We can start today. Okay, I'll hold them up in just a few. And Jafia says, we can get reparations tomorrow if we are willing to share it with non-foundational Black Americans and ADOS. If we got together. And the Pioneer says, well, you two in the chat might not like this, but I'll keep saying we're not ready collectively to get our reparations right now. I'll take it, but we need to plan this right. Yeah, I mean, we may never be ready, but the money is ours, right? And Jafia, Girly Gamer says education is a path out of poverty. Need to place more focus on public schools in poor neighborhoods. Kids born into poor homes or worse, abusive need education as an outlet to get out. Yeah, I agree with that too. Everybody should be educated to some degree. I'm not saying it necessarily has to be college, but I think we need to fix the reasons why kids are born into poverty and abusive homes, right? Because I just feel like if everything starts at home, right? Because a lot of times and I'm not saying us, I'm just saying we in general, we send our kids to school thinking, oh, that's the end all be all. My kids should go to school for 8 hours and learn everything they're supposed to know about life. They're supposed to know finances. They're supposed to learn how to, be good people and learn their reading, writing, and arithmetic. So it's like, but a lot of that they're supposed to already know, right? That's why I have an issue with the critical race theory. I'm not saying it shouldn't be taught, but I don't care if they teach it in school, because we should be teaching that at home. No other race of people is mad about them not teaching their people about their history. It's only us that are mad about it because we don't teach it at home. Like, I've taught my daughter from the time that she could speak or listen. I taught her, so I never once sent my daughter to school thinking, well, Miss Smith, I need you to teach my daughter about who she is as a Black woman and all the things that have gone on to Black people, because for one thing, I know they ain't gonna teach you right. So we need to start at home, right? And we also need to fix why we are impoverished at home. Again, if we stop giving away 97% of our $1.3 trillion, then we could fix a lot of that, right? And Javai says, Donovan, they are poor for the same reason Black people are poor. And NIA says, I ain't no Democrat. Don't disrespect son, or I think say respect son. Yeah, you watch your mouth. And Nick says, but also I think some of those who are constantly whining about not having a good job or no money, et cetera, are the same ones who choose to be lazy and not even try to want handouts, just wanting handouts instead. I help anyone. Yeah, and some of that is true too. Some people are just like, well, I'm not going to do anything. And I say this to y'all, I haven't punched the clock per se in a very long time. And I say that I never want to, but I tell you one thing, if it meant me eating and taking care of myself, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? I will do that, even if it's for a little bit. So I'm not above it, right? So I agree. People should do what they need to do, even if it's temporarily to help themselves. And you also say who are willing to help themselves first. Yes, and Nate, how you doing? It says Trump wasn't bad for Black people, though. Yeah, there's a lot of people who would agree with you. A lot of it was hype. They tried to make Trump Black people's boogeyman. But I always say we didn't create Trump. Trump was not our boogeyman. He was not our Frankenstein. That was the people who put him in office. But again, the Democrats know how to use us and tug us on our emotions. Oh, Trump, he don't like Black people. Oh, he's horrible. But it's like, well, how is he any worse than any of the other presidents that came before him? Y'all mean to tell me that racism started because Trump got into office? And I'm one of those people that think that another Trump presidency would have woken Black people up. We would have really woken up and say, okay, because I knew once the Democrats got into office, we were going to go, oh, that was close. We almost were slaves again, and all of that. And so here we are, right? We've gotten complacent, and look what Black people are going through. Joe Biden got into office and didn't do anything specific.
No, wait a minute. A cotton picking minute. Joe Biden has changed. He is no longer the racist he used to be. Racism has stopped because Joe Biden is now in office. Okay, get it straight.
All right, and then he did give us Juneteenth and a hip hop holiday, so I stand corrected. Somebody says there is degeneracy in every group. Why do we have to apologize for and acknowledge the lowest element? No other group does this, right? Because that's how Black people are defined, by their worst, right? You put a couple of knuckleheads on the news and it's like, oh, look at Black people. It's like, I tell people all the time, I don't even know Black people. I do know them, but I don't hang out with Black people who act like that. So you know what I'm saying? So it's not as common as the media would like you to think that it is. You know what I mean? Pioneer says, first of all, how many financial institutions do we have to keep the money in? We have a few Black banks, but for the most part, how many do we have and how many credit unions do we have? Well, there's a few, not like they used to be, but we also should remember that I don't care what kind of bank you have. If it's in the United States, it's FDIC regulated, right? It's federally regulated. So it ain't like you have your own bank and like we're making our own rules and we get to do what we want. It's still regulated by the government, right? So you're just putting it in a Black bank. And the premise is if you put your money in a Black bank, you should be able to get, better loans and not be discriminated against. I don't know if that's actually happening or not. I don't know, but that's the premise. And Mr. Pyburn says they talk about Trump because he is the boogeyman. Black folks are easy to scare. Yeah, you talk to any Negro walking the planet Earth who is a Joe Biden fanatic, the first thing they would bring up is Trump. If you say anything about Kamala, or Biden. Well, what about Trump? I'm like, dude, Trump ain't even in office. Regardless of what he tells you, he's not the president anymore, you know.
You know what's crazy? I'm here in the DR and they've got some Trumpsters here from New York. They think this man can never make a sin. Everything that they would say, I would say, well, forget this politics. Let's just forget that. I just told them, I said, you don't think that this man defrauded the university and some of the stuff that is outright that he paid and it's like black and white? Well, all businessmen do that. I was like, oh my God, please stop talking to me.
Yep. All right, let's see where I am with these comments. But
one thing about the Trump people is, but here's the one thing you got to respect about Trump people. They're on code. They're on code. And
still on code. Except for when they were supposed to show up, was it the 13th, the 18th? They were supposed to like really do some things, and that didn't really pan out. And Petito says, just like the anti-lynching bill, it's still sitting right along with the George Floyd bill. Both symbolism bills, they don't really have any teeth, you know. Sunlight says, and even James Clyburn was like, well, I'm willing to forego the qualified immunity to get it passed. And then it's just a piece of paper. Like, that's the most important part of it, right? Sunlight says, I had to clean up my previous comment, YouTube blocking me. Oh, yeah, y'all be careful because they do be watching. And Steve says, they better start selling pee. No, don't start selling that. The Pioneer says, you gave Afro-Americans reparations right now, and when whoever makes black and miles will be the biggest beneficiary. You know what? Lord have mercy. And DJ Golden says, what you saying, Sunlight? We are, well, okay, do not like you. Can you inbox it? Oh, you're talking about them censoring her, okay? And Thunder says they are poor and they are an example of what not to do. And you know what they didn't do? They didn't have Dr. Claude Anderson's blueprint and a bad example of what can happen if you don't follow the plan, right? So you're talking about the Democrats didn't even want to talk to Dr. Claude Anderson, or they still haven't talked to Ice Cube yet, right? But Trump did, and people hated him, including a lot of black people hated Ice Cube to this day. Painted Fool says, but the Dems are more worried about voting rights. What is the point of voting if you get nothing for your vote, black people? Now, that is just too much like critical thinking, right? And Nick says, nobody can survive on minimum wage. It's ridiculous. Rent is insanely high in most areas, not to mention all other bills, expenses. They expect people to make it on $1,000 a month income. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, maybe somewhere in Mississippi, and I'm sure that real estate is going up, but I'm in Texas, y'all. Y'all hear that? Y'all came from California, Southern California, where you can't even go outside and think without having to pay somebody. And I come here and I'm like, it's getting just as bad. Like, seriously. But yeah, ain't nobody surviving off no minimum wage.
Right. But then again, and let me just play devil's advocate here. You're right. Nobody can survive off of that. But if white people's annual household income is $117,000 and 70% of black people live at, below, or just above the poverty line, how come we're cool with that?
What do you mean? You said, how come
what I mean by is, we're comfortable being at the poverty line when we know that you shouldn't be at that level to where you're at the poverty line when, you're working and you're doing these terms, working poor and all this other stuff. But yet we sit there and we have Uncle Sugar try to bail us out when we should be doing for ourselves. Uncle Sugar.
They go with that damn Uncle Sugar. And DJ Golding says, it's cool. Demetra in her books will take good care of us while Donovan's gone. Yes, indeed. I got y'all. Pioneer says, yes, housing is expensive. That's why I say you have to not only control the finances, but the politics of your community too. The politicians and market determines the price of the housing in the area. Yes, indeed. And Steve says, great show as always. Demetra K. Donovan, Sadiq, very informative. Well, thank you. And thank y'all for being here, being the other side of the conversation.
Wait, stop. I want you guys to know this.
You're buffering. They shut him down, or maybe it's me. I don't know. I think he'll come back. And Artemis says, get a fixer upper a little bit cheaper. I was in Colorado and all the weather. I think it's the weather, but it was nice. You were buffering, Donovan, so we didn't hear anything you said at all. Okay. And Brandon says, how do you get your child in trades. Well, I mean, there's a lot of trade schools out there. You know, to be honest with you, YouTube. As my brother always say, YouTube is a new university. I tell you what, I had 2 broken windows at my house, lawnmower accident, right? You know who fixed those windows? My daughter.
Oh, I was going to say Miles, or what's the
No.
August? I was going to say August. August.
Little baby. My daughter fixed the windows. She went on YouTube and figured it out and fixed them. But, you know, if we would have called somebody, it would have been a couple of $100 for them to come out and fix it. And we ordered the parts and she measured it and she fixed the windows. So it's out there to learn.
But yeah, and Brandy, if you're really interested in getting your kids into trades and stuff, most unions have an apprenticeship program. You can go to the unions and get into that program, and they will apprenticeship them and do all that other good stuff. So that's one way of getting into it as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, this is, first of all, most of y'all are focused on some check. That ain't even worth the paper ink. It's made with intelligent people with demand land where we can grow food, buy housing, etc. Well, you know what though? Yes, we need the land, but how you gonna pay for shit on the land if you ain't got no money? So they go hand in hand.
That's
right?
sharecropping. That's sharecropping. Exactly.
Yeah, I ain't trying to be no sharecropper. I saw Sounder, believe me, and it was not fun. Okay. D-Day Golden says we should be teaching critical theory, race theory at home. Yeah, like that to me is a silly argument, but I think that's another distraction of the Democrats too. Let's give them that to chew on. Let's tell them to be mad because the schools won't teach critical race theory. No, teach it at home. Go to Google, get some books, teach it to your own children, right? Anastasia says, were the Holocaust survivors and their family members ready for reparations? Were the Japanese internment camp victims and family members ready for their money? We aren't children. And I agree with that 100%.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sunlight says, land without money is useless. They will have to have it back in 10 years. Yeah. And Anais says, having Walter on yesterday encouraged me to call my mother's insurance company today. Thanks. And I'm glad that you got something out of it. So good for you. And OLU crew, how you doing? It says, come to Dallas areas, plenty of jobs. Okay, but do they pay though? You know, because they got plenty of jobs. Everywhere I go, I see they hiring. They hiring Taco Bell, McDonald's, all the retail stores and all of that. But I was like, I'm not a retail fast food type of chick. You know what I mean?
Wait. Do you know what's crazy, Demetra? Okay, they're paying retail people $14 an hour, $15 an hour. Roughly. You have a master's degree, and they're paying you $17 an hour.
I'd rather collect cans before I did that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have the patience, okay? But yeah, that's good to know that Dallas has plenty of jobs, already good jobs though. And the Pioneer says, you sitting up, and if I didn't already, hello, how you doing? Oh, Lou, I hope I'm saying that right now. Pioneer says, you sitting up here with $50,000 check in one hand and smoking Black and Mild cigar in the other, but homeless as hell because you don't own a house or any land and got evicted. Well, yeah, that needs to be, thought out. And Anastasia says, a critical race theory is simply history. And if your kids have more shoes and clothes and games and books, that's a parenting problem. Yes. Yes. Your kids should not go to school completely, ignorant of who they are and their history, right? That is a parenting problem. And Artemis says, true that. I taught my children that which they teach them. They know who they are and they don't trust the Pope. We'll say that. Jonelle says, Bush knocked down the towers with the Zionists. So they say. Thunder says, every other group teach their kids their history and instill in the importance of keeping the code and buying from their own. Yep. We need to do the same. Steve says, Trump lost, blame the devil. Yeah, he lost. I think he realizes that now. And a Pioneer says, sis, I have to be honest. I thought Trump getting in office was going to wake black folks up and help destroy the system. In 2020, the youth did kick up a little dust, but then they went back to sleep. As soon as the Democrats came in office, it was NyQuil for Negroes. That's exactly what it was. And Jafar says, not a Trump supporter, but Trump was better than the person who lived in the White House prior to his residency. So you're talking about better than Obama. And then he's, I know people get mad, but, I tell people, y'all get mad off of the stuff that Trump said, but y'all not mad off of the stuff that Biden did and is doing. How does that that's not even on the same playing field. It doesn't even make sense. To me, it doesn't, right? And let's see here. Where did it go? These comments be jumping.
Monies. Much Detroit love, Donovan and Demetra. I'm glad to see you guys are coming on a little later than expected, but I had to say hello to both of you guys. Hello, Miss Moni.
Now we came on time. That's you. And Anastasia says, well, we came on a little bit late, 10 minutes. And Anastasia says, why would the second term wake anybody up? The first one did. If us being fed to alligators or being boiled in sugar didn't, I doubt a second term of Trump. Talking about Trump, but Biden crapping on them is it. Yes. And Nick, you say, yep, it does start at home. Over 70% of young African-American boys grow up without a father. It's a massive problem. Single mothers working 3 jobs, can't show much attention. Starts at home for sure. Yes, we do need to fix the Black family. We need Black families intact. That's a huge part of it right there.
Yeah. Read the Monahan report. Read the Monahan report.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of facts in there, but a lot of it is skewed as well. So, because I've been hearing people talk about the Monahan report, and it's like, yeah, but it don't tell the whole story. You know what I mean? And Jafia says, regardless to what bank your money is in, your credit score is still utilized. Okay. And Girly Gamer says, one thing about Trump, he pissed off the elite of some people. Yeah. And Thunder says,
well, I don't know. How could he piss off the elite if he gave him one of the biggest tax cuts and the transfer of billions of trillions of dollars to his rich people? So how does that piss them off?
I think they mean by he got off script, right? So they got a big tax cut, but then he got off on doing, because he was really supposed to be in there another term, but he completely got off script to where a lot of Republicans was like, wait a minute, wait. That ain't what we talked about. And Thunder says, we can do Black banking and also peer-to-peer lending. Yep, that's what everybody else does. Moni says, make sure you've been wearing some real cute outfits. Lady, you got, you go girl, look like you've been doing a lot of beautiful, beautiful melons. That's a great toner, looking beautiful and moisturized. Okay, well, thank you. Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, you're right that these Trumpers are on code and don't think Trump can do anything wrong. That's why I say he's demonic. He has demon-like control over the minds of his supporters. You know what though?
Can you say the Omen 3, Damien?
Yeah, he's definitely Jim Jones. But what do you call the Democrats that got Black people? It's the same thing. You know, we're just a little bit more subtle with ours. We ain't bold enough to go up to the Capitol and do an insurrection. But it's the same hold that the Democrats have on Black people. So tell me how you see a difference. And Marty says, I say, let's talk on somebody that ain't got nothing to do with Trump because he's already shown his hand unless somebody else new and different. All these people are slums. Stop promoting this man. Well, we're not promoting him, but we're going to talk about him. Pioneer says, Queen, you have to give us at least 30 more minutes. Moni just got on in the chat, laugh aloud. Come on, says Donovan said he's trying to make the most of his vacation. He got a couple more days left in DR to get stuck over there, and he is not going to be on here for another half an hour. But I will finish these comments before we get out of here. And I'm hungry. I really haven't eaten today, so I don't know if I'll be over here. Anyway, though, let me get back to this. We do have a Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. If y'all want to donate to that to keep New Black Media going, we would greatly appreciate it. Become a member or join a super chat. And Jonelle says, what has Black people got for their vote of Biden Harris? Boy, nothing 99. That's what we got. And Moni says, Trump still says he is the president. Anybody speaks against it is committing treason according to what he states. And that is his own words out of his mouth. What did he ever do for you, Donovan?
During the Trump administration, I made more money than I had ever made on the stock market.
And what did he do for you as a veteran?
Gave veterans more money than any president ever. The VA has never had so much money where I can now go off base if I need to at your taxpayer expense and go to the doctor of my choice.
Did you get your student loans forgiven?
Student loans forgiven.
As a veteran.
As a veteran. And he authorized, if you needed, what do they got now for those teeth? If you want to get those implants, that never happened before. Authorized all of that.
You asked, Moni. Mr. Priber says, if I get reparations, I will get a truckload of old English malt liquor and cools, and so I can flip it. You know what? You need to stop it. And Moni says, when this man was in office, he had an option, just like who we have in now, to make changes for Haitians and others. He didn't, and he had a chance to make a law for blacks to stop the harassment for police 45. But the one that y'all big up in Biden, he's the reason why Trump would have needed to make a law to help black people as far as police. So I'm saying, like, you know.
Yeah. And Biden is in there right now, so he could do exactly what you said. And
you buffer, but we got your point. And Pioneer says the fact that so many of our people are facing homelessness is a great example of why we need to ensure we get a certain amount of land and other resources as a part of our reparation package. Yep, and Thunder says, yes, Donovan, let's move up, and we can start by turning all these abandoned churches in black communities into learning and training centers where they can learn HVAC, plumbing, trucking, electrician. Yes, indeed. And media is evil. How you doing? He says there is no good reason to teach kids to focus on race. Well, yeah, I don't know about focus on race, but you should already be teaching your kids who they are and their history anyway. School shouldn't even really be a part of that, right? And Kelly, how you doing? You say he may mean take land instead of money as our check with no taxation provisions. Land is far more valuable. Yes, it is, but you know, if they do that, then yeah, we own to something. Mona says you have many people to meet you on your own, Donovan, who are always speaking up for the Republican Party, but when the Republicans had it, they didn't want to raise minimum wage. Mitch McConnell shot it down. I think he's meant every check.
Okay, let me address that, you know, to my girl Moni. You know, you are absolutely right, but that's the game. This is a shell game, Moni. It doesn't matter who's in party. They both do it. If the Democrats wanted to give us a minimum wage rate, they can do it right now. What is stopping them for doing what they can do? They have the votes. They have the executive. They have everything. They're not doing it. You're absolutely right. The Republicans don't want to do it, but we already know that. We already know that. The Democrats have the power right now. What is stopping them? They have the power right now. And guess what? The clock is ticking. Midterms are coming. The clock is ticking. And you know what? That's why they did this qualified immunity bullcrap negotiation stuff. 5 months wasted. Now the midterms are coming. What do you think that they're going to do? They're going to lose the midterms. They're going to say, see, we were going to do the qualified immunity thing, but the Republicans now are obstructing and we can't get nothing done. And then you have Joe Manchin from West Virginia is obstructing, because he's technically a Republican, the Democratic agenda to do nothing for anybody. So that's the game.
And where did we hear that playbook before? Oh, we couldn't do nothing because they were obstructing us. The Obama administration tried the same shit. They said the same thing, which is why they couldn't get nothing done, because they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency for 2 years. So same like this time is going to come up. So you watch. Somebody says, laugh out loud, no, because America teaches kids to focus on race. And the Pioneer says, I disagree with one of the commenters. A lot of our people are children in their mentality. Just because you are intelligent, it doesn't mean all of our people are. You can't screw this up. And so we met Red Monies. And media is evil, says critical race theory teaches kids to focus on race. It's evil. Okay. Well, I know it's based off of the 1619 Project, from what I understand. I just really teach African American history from then till now. And the Pioneer says, if you think getting a check that you can run down to the liquor store and cash will solve all your problems, you're deluded. Wow. Nick says over 70% of young African-American boys grow up without a father, and the mother's having to work 3 jobs to put food on the table and can't always be their huge problem. And those are 30 times more likely to end up in jail. Those are statistics. Yes, indeed. Artemis says, absolutely. I went through an apprenticeship program, and media is evil. Says Biden claims Whitey is the biggest threat. He lies. Yeah. And Don, you say the critical race theory is not for us, it's for a dominant society. No one needs to teach us about structure, anti-Black racism in America. We've lived it and live it out today in all areas of life. I agree with that. Heiner says, wait a minute, Queen, did you just say Biden equals NyQuil for Negroes? Yes. So laugh out loud, I'm going to use that one. Can I take credit for it? Yeah, I mean, you could I can't stop you from doing that, but that's what it is. The Democrats are NyQuil for Negroes. And Sunlight says, you can do what you want with cash. If you trust this country to give prime land to us, I'm not the delusional one. Facts, right? Give you some Dust Bowl type of ground or something like that. Media is evil says accept personal responsibility. Okay. You also say Trump wasn't bought off as easily or completely as old Joe. And that's when I said he got off script. And they're like, wait a minute, this dude is a loose cannon because he got off script. So I agree with you. And Jafar says Donovan Trump pissed him off because he brought too much attention to what they all were about. Yep. And Marty says this lady should check into her own city and state to see what trades is being offered, from truck driving to LPN to cosmetology to anesthetics and to barbering, plumbing, construction is in license and regulatory. Okay. And let's see here. And you guys, I'm not going to read the comments that you guys are speaking to each other. And I'm going to actually skip over some of them so we can get out of here. Pioneer says, somebody I just want to check, but no hospital, just a check, but no land, just a check, no education, just a sweating check in your pocket while the police are chasing you down the street. Well, no, we want a little bit more than that. And Nick says, Trump did create more jobs for African Americans, as well as poverty was lowest ever with Trump in office. Statistical facts and not even debatable at all, period. Yeah, from what I hear, but statistics are kind of skewed. And trust me, I will not lie to y'all and tell y'all I know anything about statistics. I passed that class by the grace of God, okay? Because it was all like, well, wah, to me, okay? So, and Myron, how you doing? Says, oh, well, thank you.
You don't have to read that comment.
I won't. Thank you. And Girly Gamer, he says the FBI are an example of how Trump pissed off the elite. The FBI normally protect the government officials. I don't know of many president the elite went after. Maybe the Kennedys. Good point. And Myron, you also say, why are you proud to be a vet, bro?
Well, you got to understand, not everybody is qualified to serve. And like I said, I come from a military family. So again, I can't turn my back on what I know and what I'm proud of. I'm proud to be a vet because not everybody can do what I did and what other veterans get to do. We enjoy this conversation because of a veteran. You deserve your rights because of a veteran. That's just how it is.
All right. And Mona says, I see Texas has been a real bad standard racist state. That's old George Bush town. Don't look like you all have improved. Says to meet you, I think it would be better for you to go back to California. Texas is just a little bit more overt, but it's everywhere, right? As Black people in America, you're not escaping racism, right? California, it says a little bit more liberal, but it has its pockets of racism. Trust me. And Antoine says,
don't even go out to Bakersfield.
Oh no. And Antoine says, bottom line, end of the day, it's all about weaponry. And right now, the cowards have the gun. Myra says, no, just felt the need to state it. And Jonelle says, same, political fools over sheeple, aka non-thinking people, all going to the slaughter. Zion's own America is an idle nation, cycling in ignorance and mental death. Its leadership is pride. Revelations 18:4. Mona says, thought they might be hiring at Taco Bell. Though they may be hiring at Taco Bell don't want to pay $16 an hour, just like here in Michigan. McDonald's lists they'll pay up to $11 an hour, and the cost of living is far cheaper here. Yeah, but is it a full-time job, though? It's part-time, right? And Jonelle says they don't want you to talk, Donovan, because they keep cutting your buffering. And Mr. Pybrand says, I will Photoshop a picture of Donovan on the truck with a Jerry curl promoting the old English. We're going to make that money laughing my black ass off. Oh, don't worry. Donovan's got plenty of pictures of him with Jerry curl, so you don't need to Photoshop it. Just ask. Yes. He still has the Jerry curl juice all over the furniture. His mama got furniture. She'll never get the stains out. Pioneer says, if a billionaire from Wall Street come on with a grin on his face to tell you he's on your side and not part of the elite and you believe him, you're crazy as hell. Laugh out loud. And Jafar says, exactly, Demetra. And Anastasia says, people are ignoring accomplishments at the Department of Veteran Affairs that began during the Obama-Biden administration. Trump signed a law in 2018 that expanded the options for using the choice. Okay, well, come on with the education. Educate us. All right. And let's see here. Am I making a dent in this?
Yes, you are.
Okay. And Anastasia also said program established by Obama and McCain and other lawmakers. Okay. Pioneer says, sis, did you know that YouTube bans the word Negro from the comments, but you can say Nika. Interesting. Okay, well, I know now. Jeremy has awakened. How you doing? It says Obama had the votes to make the change to where our voting rights doesn't have to be renewed every 25 years, but he refused to do that as well. He refused to do a lot of things for Black people, but now he's out here trying to talk about it. It's like, shut up. And Anastasia says critical race theory is not based off the 1619 project. It's actually started in the 70s as a graduate level course in law school. So I heard that as well. So I actually heard both. So I'm not sure it was true, but I take your word for it. And Thunder says, also, let's start teaching them carpentry and cement masonry. That way, when we build it, we'll be by our own hands and real estate agents. That's why we are making transactions with our own. All right. And Moni says, Donovan, how are you enjoying the Dominican Republic? Do they ever have any more fancier rooms than the beautiful rooms with a beautiful view on the ocean? I wish I could be there with you. Hearts, 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 and a cocktail drink. That's the emoji.
Yes, Moni, unfortunately, you do not bring sand to the beach. So beautiful women here, as you are beautiful, I wouldn't bring you here because that would be like bringing sand to the beach. So I couldn't do it.
Jafia says, good answer, Donovan. And Moni says, I'm ready for somebody else. I think we just need to have one of Turner's. Don't give these people no more second chance. The first chance you were given. If you don't do right, you don't get a second time. Yes, I like that. And Anastasia, you say Trump frequently points to VA accomplishments such as improved wait times and the offering of same-day mental health services, but those same-day services at VA were started during the Obama time. Okay. And Pioneer says critical race theory is a distraction. In my opinion, you don't need to teach racists about racism. They need to be teaching us how to practice their racism if they really want to reform themselves and help. And NIU says statistics was a great class for me. Took economics. Statistics was fun. You're weird, okay? It was not fun for me at all. I'm telling you.
Wait, and I just want to go back to the VA thing. Yes. This was started under this administration. That is started under that administration. When it comes to our veterans and who we put in harm's way, by the way, Joe Biden voted for the war to go to Afghanistan and all this other good stuff like that. Unfortunately, even if you look at it, it doesn't matter how it started. There's a lot of legislation that started and then it's signed by the previous president. But Obama, as a whole, didn't do shit for veterans. I mean, I'm just going to tell you that he didn't. It's what you can prove. And he did not do anything for veterans because guess what? Oh, I'm obstructed and there's nothing I really could do at this time with the veterans. And so I can't do anything right now. Yeah, the legislation started. I agree with that. But the fact of the matter is it didn't run across his desk. He didn't sign the legislation because remember, the president can veto it or he can sign it. Trump did not hesitate to sign.
I'll let y'all battle that out. And Anastasia says critical race theory originated in the 1970s in the writings of several American legal scholars, including Derek Bell, Alan Freeman, Kimberly Crenshaw, Richard Delgado, Cheryl Hines, Charles R. Lawrence III. Okay, well, thank you for that. And Jafia says racism is everywhere. New York State owned more slaves than any state in the Union at one point. Yep. And the Pioneer says California is a liberal. In my opinion, the definition of liberal has changed over the past 40 years. It used to mean for blacks, women, and workers' rights. Now liberal, progressive can mean anything. Yes, indeed. And Troy, how you doing? He said, what's up, family? And let me see. And then Myron, he says, a vet didn't bring my great-great-grandmother here. Fighting in foreign countries protecting the black nation.
Well, again, Myron, if it wasn't for veterans, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You wouldn't even have independent thought. You couldn't do what it is you want to do. I mean, not everybody's going to serve in the military. I don't advocate everybody to serve in the military because it's not for everybody. But in the black community, do you realize a third of black veterans in World War II got the opportunity to leave the plantations and the sharecropping and get a better opportunity with whatever they were doing and all the benefits that came with that. And right now, a lot of your vets that served in Vietnam and all these other guys that are out there homeless and stuff, they're getting a check, even though they might want to be homeless and stuff, and they're being taken care of. If you go to the LA Vet Center, they are dealing with the veterans right there on the campus and bringing them in. So, I always get into this thing where you got people who have never served because they were told, oh, the white man and all this other stuff like that. And that's all good and great. Everybody has to walk their path. But the point is, nobody complains about all these Black representatives that don't do nothing for Black people, but you've got people like myself and other veterans that are willing to go over there, get the training, and if need be, come back and train my people how to fight the Mazunga.
And I want to just speak up on Donovan's behalf. When I was in high school, I entertained going into the army. My dad is a Nation of Islam. He says over my dead body. So I didn't go enlist. My dad was also a conscious objector, if you will, in the 1960s. When they tried to draft him into the Vietnam War, he did not go. Luckily, he did not have to serve that 5-year prison sentence because they just thought he was crazy, you know, because he was like, I'm not picking up arms to defend this country. But I will say this in defense of Donovan. Donovan has done a lot of things in the military that a lot of Black people will never do. Donovan is a pilot. He doesn't talk about that much. As a pilot, this dude got bars all over his military. What do you call it? Your dress, your blues, when he dresses up, he's got bars. And he got bars that he can't even fit on his chest. Now, I'm not saying that to brag on Donovan, but what I am saying is Donovan kicked in the doors for a lot of Black people in the military. And I'm also say this, I'm not trying to tell Donovan's business, but Donovan can travel anywhere in the world because he did the work. He served 24 years in the military. He is well taken care of. Donovan does not need or will ever want for anything. Donovan has also taken me on trips paid for fully, along with my daughter. And he's able to do that largely because he served in the military. But as you said, too, Donovan comes back and he didn't just go in the military and came home retired. He retired early in his 40s, by the way. But he comes home and he does the work and he does actually help Black people. And so a lot of the skills that he learned in the military, he has brought home and has built and is continuing to build to help Black people. So I hope that helps, because I just wanted to argue both sides of the coin on that. But I don't knock people for doing what they feel is best. Like Donovan, like I said, Donovan went and did the work. He gave 24 years of his life to this country, who will never give that back to him. But he made the best of it, and he helping a lot of people. I also know that with a lot of that money that Donovan gets, see, Donovan, you need to put me back on the team. A lot of that money that Donovan gets from the military, he also has created scholarships for people that he sends money to, Black people that are in college. Usually it's a Black girl. He sends her money every month so that she can help with, college expenses. So Donovan doesn't talk about those lot of things, but I know Donovan very well. And so a lot of times when I hear people try to take him to task on him serving for the military, it's like, well, there's more to the story than him just going and, shooting other people for the hell of it. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, let me get to these comments so we can get out of here, because I think Pioneer's getting that extra half an hour out of us. You also say, Pioneer, Brother Donovan, just let the soul glow, let it shine, laugh out loud. And Anastasia says, I moved from Mississippi. It's the taint of the U.S. Don't go there. Yeah, I ain't planning on it. And
my brother's down there in Biloxi. He's going to go for it.
Okay. And we love you too, Pioneer. And I'm going to skip past some of these comments so we can get out here. And Nikki says, yes, McDonald's pays decent minimum wage in most places, but they pay more because it's a part-time and they don't have to offer insurance either. Nobody has to work fast food. Lots of other jobs are available. That is very true. And they don't talk about that. Walmart, those other jobs, they are the biggest benefactors of socialism, right? Because a lot of their workers are getting welfare, housing, food stamps because they just don't pay them enough to survive, right? And let's see, Mona says, Donovan ain't going nowhere because I'm kidnapping him and bringing him to Michigan. Okay, y'all talk that out. Curtis, how you doing? It says, to be honest, other white people gave disappeared without the buzz. Petitos. You said other white people have, I think you made disappear without the buzz. Petito's case has gained. It would be interesting to find out why some cases stay in the public eye, why others just fade away. Well, people were saying that she was an influencer. I didn't know that. Curly Gamer says many great things about our own property is the stability and equity. If you still lived and own in the Southern California, you'd be richer with the future foreclosures opportunities coming. That's why I'm not buying right now. I hate to say it. And you said, at the moment you said, did I have a chance to, these comments are backed up. Okay, I'm going to get, you have a chance to go live. How do I get a chance to go live with you and Donovan to show some things that have been going on in the video? I'll go live. Send me a message. Send me a message on Gmail, and then we'll set up a date. And Don says, smart man, I used to want foreign sand in my shores. Lord have mercy. All right, let me go. And the Pioneer says, I don't trust a lot of these statistics, quote unquote, that people toss around. They say the numbers don't lie, but people that are giving you the numbers do lie. You can find stats and data to support anything. Yep. And let's see here. Yes, I am hungry, Pioneer. And Donovan's getting antsy. And Don, you say, I have to take managerial statistical and analytical probability in my MBA program. It hurt mentally. Yeah, I didn't have to do that in my MBA program. And Pioneer says, I joined this channel about 4 times.
I took that.
Mm-hmm. And you say, Pioneer, I joined this channel about 4 times. I already laugh out loud. I keep joining and it keeps taking away my membership for some reason. I don't know. What did you do? And somebody says,
Demetra's got that Trump. She's got that Trump algorithm. You know, like when they donated, and he kept going into their pockets and taking it out.
No, I doubt it. Somebody says, like I said, the stats are BS. Yes, and media is evil. So stats or not. In life, I have noticed a lot more issues in poor areas compared with rich areas, regardless of what ethnic groups are in those areas. Yeah, that's just a fact, right? And then Jafia, and you said there was no. Mona said there was no student loan forgiveness under the Trump administration for veterans. It was, because I know because Donovan rubbed it in my face every chance he got. And Jafia says Black World War II vets were
$67,000 wiped out. Boom, done.
Jafia says World War II vets were robbed of most of the benefits that were promised to them. Yes, indeed. And some of them were lynched in their uniforms. Media is evil says the crime is the rich areas aren't easily seen, most financial crimes. And Brandy says salute to you as well. And Sunlight says, nah, stick with the stats you were referencing. And Anastasia says, I'm a vet, but it shouldn't be bondage or slavery versus death, PTSD, and missing limbs unless you are learning to train your own people. That's what vets did. But a lot of us aren't doing that now. Yes, and as you said, you were a vet as well, and thank you for your service too. And Anais says, Donovan is a king. Yes, he is. And Jafia says, you defend Donovan exactly like your brother defended you yesterday. You know what, though? Donovan, that's my guy. Like, we fight, but Donovan will tell you, I wish a mother would. But I do that with all my friends. Anybody who knows me knows that I will put it on the line. That's just how I am. But yeah, Donovan is, he is my brother. He's like a brother to me. And how you doing, Wilbur?
And have you guys noticed, though, if you've gone to my podcast and stuff, I am more, Demetra's militant, but I could be just as militant. And that's why it trips people out, because I was in the military. They're like, this motherfucker is just telling everybody, what's going on. So it ain't like I'm one of those people that's just like, oh, America is this great thing. I call it the way I see it.
Yeah, Donovan was like, I did what I had to do. I wasn't going to be calling the shots like that. I mean, he called the shots eventually in the military, but, you got to start somewhere, right? Donovan was you a major? Donovan's a major. That's major, right? A Black major pilot. I'm just saying, and everybody's saying big up to Donovan. Yeah, absolutely, And Myra said, that doesn't answer my question. I'm a vet. We should never been on the plantation. Please explain how I have freedom of thought by killing in foreign land. Well, I'm going to call you a hypocrite at this point, because you're trying to take Donovan to task, but you're talking about you a veteran. Maybe you should be telling us why you joined and answer some of the questions you're asking him. I'm just saying. And let's see here. I think I made a dent. Let's see. And
real quick, let's be clear. There's a distinct difference between Air Force and Navy personnel versus Army and Marine Corps. Totally different jobs. I wouldn't want to be on that ground to save my life, but if I had to, and I was armed, I would do it. But thank God I was in the Air Force, where I had a different job capability.
Yes, indeed. And let's see. Mona said, I definitely don't care for Biden, because you know what to expect. But at the same time, how can you defend a man that's been sued several times in the 60s and 70s for being a known racist? Make it make sense. We're not defending him whenever we're not. Yes. Kelly said, Donovan. And Myra says, thanks for your service, but I respectfully don't agree. That's okay. We don't always agree. Trust me. Me and Donovan don't agree on a lot of stuff. And Anastasia says, but we also need to say that vets are also lynched in their uniforms and made to sit behind Nazi POWs in the U.S. We got to work the system and train our people to be a warrior class. Yes, indeed. And let's see, who else did I get? And Robin, you say salute to Donovan. I'm so proud of him. Yes, indeed. And Pioneer says, thank you, King and Queen. I told you 10 minutes ago, I said I was going to let you to go get your food, but you might have overlooked the post. No, that's okay. That's fine. That's okay. And Jonelle says, that's Queen, love yours. And that's right, Queen, love yours. Yes, absolutely. And Jafia says, Demetra, it was a compliment. Damn it. Oh, okay. Did I misread something? And Let's see here. And Moni says there's no such thing not to focus on a race when your oppressor and their offspring are trained to focus on it. Why would you not want to focus and tell the truth to your own children at home? Good point. And Anastasia says he's right. There's a difference. He was at a day camp or a day spa, and I actually worked because I was a non-commissioned officer. Okay, so they're saying that you were not smoking weed, but drinking. That was a teacup,
correct.
y'all. That was a teacup.
Yeah, that is correct. The backbone of the United States military will always be our non-commissioned officers. Always.
Yes, indeed. The media is evil. So 75 likes. Is that what we got? Okay. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I appreciate it. Somebody said, when was Biden sued for racism? Political figures are immune. There you go. And we're going to end with that. We thank y'all so much for being here on the Demetra K Show. This is Free Flow Friday with D and Donovan. Well, I will be back on the Demetra K Show by myself because Donovan is going to be in the friendly skies going back to the States. I know he's sad about it. But anyway, thank you, YouTube and Facebook, for being the other side of the conversation. Mark is guiding for everything that you're doing behind the scenes on Facebook to make the show go farther. And let's see here. Everybody saying bye. And Nikki says, why did most African Americans vote for Biden? Because we are conditioned to vote for the Democrats. We believe the Democrats are the party of black people, and we know that is not true, right? So anyway, I will see y'all comments and all of that. But I will be back here. So if y'all want to talk about something, let me know on Sunday because I run out of ideas and all of that. But again, you guys, we have a PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. And you can become a member and Super Chat and all that if you would do so. And thank you guys for those of you who've done it already. We will see you guys later. Peace out.